Detroit, Michigan, the world's motor city. It's not producing cars today, but rather racing cars. Indy cars will rip through these downtown streets at speeds of 180 miles an hour for the second year in a row. Andretti's young superstar, Colton Herta, will lead this field to green after winning the pole position yesterday. McLaren's Pato O'Ward narrowly missed winning the greatest spectacle in racing last weekend, but he's back for more. And so too is Penske's Joseph Newgarden. Just a week after winning a highly dramatic Indy 500, he's ready to win again in his Chevy in GM's backyard.
Hundreds of thousands have come from across the country to the Heartland, where 33 drivers will get the green flag in the greatest spectacle in racing.
We don't fear nothing, we're against. Ain't nobody safe, you get drenched.
Drivers, start your engines.
It's going to be the Indy 500 night race no one knew they wanted, but it's going to be fun.
It's time to get it started, let's get lit.
This is the Indianapolis 500.
Green, green, green.
We don't fear nothing that exists.
Scott McLaughlin leads the field to green.
Dick Allen got a crash at the back.
We keep coming hit after hit.
Look out as they all go into turn one.
This is racing like the last restart of the race.
It's all time now, this is it.
16 different leaders today, an Indy 500 race record. Oh, it's Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Oh, 360-degree spin through the
We
grass.
don't fear nothing that exists.
Here comes Pato up the inside and Rossi on the outside.
The time has come, this is it.
This is a four-way battle for the win.
One more lap to go. Pato goes to the lead.
Still there, still there.
Newgarden around the outside of Pato O'Ward. Joseph Newgarden is a two-time Indy 500 winner.
The time has come, this is it.
Unbelievable. Oh, it's just as good a week later, isn't it? As NBC Sports welcomes you to IndyCar Live, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance. And look at where we are. The iconic Renaissance Center, the Rensen, and we're in the shadows of it here on this unique split pit lane on the downtown streets of Detroit. Hi folks, Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe. And yes, just like you, we're still buzzing a week later after that incredible last lap pass by Joseph Newgarden on Pato O'Ward to win his second Indianapolis 500. You have loved this sport for decades. Where does it rank for you?
In my lifetime, that is the best Indy 500 that I've ever seen. From the drop of the green flag, we were treated to just incredible drama, fierce competition, over 600 on-track passes, culminating in that incredible, brave move from Joseph Newgarden on the final lap. But this is a full reset now, James. We come here and the contrast could not be more different.
It couldn't be any bigger. We're going from the most storied race in history, 108 years. This is the second year we've gone through the streets of Detroit here. One of the biggest tracks, fastest speeds, to the shortest track on the calendar. It is tight and it is treacherous, guys. We saw all sorts of issues in practice. Guys going in runoffs, guys brushing the wall, guys smacking the wall. This place is relentless. You have to be absolutely picture perfect. We saw everybody have some kind of issue, veterans and rookies alike, and that is setting us up for, I think, something that's going to be a pretty spectacular race here this afternoon.
And T-Bell, all of that carnage, what does it create?
Well, this is the most challenging street circuit on the schedule to drive a lap, and even in practice, it caused heightened tempers and emotions. This is practice. We're talking about practice, man. Ferrucci and Kirkwood going at it. Kirkwood swerves to try to block Ferrucci. He comes right back on Kirkwood, the two-touch, and then Colton Herta tries to hold up Ferrucci there. They were all trying to prepare for one clean lap. It was next to impossible to accomplish here on Friday, and it led James to even more drama after the practice was over.
Yeah, some words and some fisticuffs exchanged on pit lane there. Tempers were high, but look, that's what happens in this close quarter street circuit racing, even in practice. So I can only imagine what we're going to see today.
There is not a happier person in the world of motorsport than the driver with our Marty Snyder. Marty?
Yeah, Diff, it's pretty good to be Joseph Newgarden these days. Not only the 500 win, but also a multi-year contract extension as well. So it's been a busy week. Have you had a chance to relive it and sort of look back to 500 yet?
Not completely. I'm really ready to get home. I'm excited about a great race day. It's awesome to be here in Detroit. you know, it's just a different feeling when you come here, when you win the 500 with the team. You're sort of in survival mode just a little bit on a weekend like this. But we've had fast cars, which makes our job easier. Really encouraged. It's great to have Astemo in the car. It's been a long-standing partnership with Hitachi, and to have the Astemo branding is really special to us. You can see the Rensen in the background, so it's Team Chevy's backyard too. But yeah, I'll relive it probably next week or maybe later in the off-season, but we need to get through this race and get some good points.
What did you learn last year to help you manage your time better in an effort to focus on trying to chase that third championship?
Well, I think it's a collective effort. The team has been easier on me this weekend than they were last year, and they're doing the best to help me out. And, you know, just, it sounds simple. You know, people go, what's the big deal? You know, you just talk about the win. That seems enjoyable, but it is draining. You know, when you talk about something for 10, 12 hours straight in a day, it wears you out. And so I need to collect myself a little bit, but I think the team's going to work with me in a great way. And, you know, it's a long season still to go. We got a lot of work to do, and I think we have the potential with all of our cars. So I'm going to try and apply some of the learnings, like you said, last year, get a little more personal time, and see if we can fight for this championship.
Joseph Newgarden trying to become the first driver in 24 years to win the Indy 500 and the next race as well. Dylan Welch.
Well, we're a week removed from an emotional Indianapolis 500 finish for Pato O'Ward, and it is a new week, a new race this weekend here at Detroit. But how did that situation and that scenario impact you on a personal level, and how will it impact you moving forward on a professional level as well?
You know, it's a new week, it's a new race, right? And, you know, for us, or at least, well, I wouldn't say just me, I think for all of the 5 crew and a lot of the people within the team, it opened a can of emotions that felt like it's been the history, or it's been the past of our Indy 500 before, so it just felt like we were reliving emotions, and they just keep getting heavier and heavier, you know. But we gave it everything. We absolutely gave it everything. There's a lot to be proud of, and there's still 12 races to go. There's a race to the championship now, and there's still some catch-up that we have to do. We haven't had the best of years, to be honest. We've had a lot of up and down, but I think we have a good opportunity today to go forward, and we'll see what we can do.
You're right in the middle of the battle to starting in 12th. So what's the challenge of that early, and how do you stay out of trouble?
Honestly, survive. Just survive for the first half of the race, and then just keep moving forward as the opportunities come about.
All right, we'll see what Pato can do. He rolls from 12th and going to try to get his second win of the year.
And you have to spare a thought for Pato O'Ward. He entertains and excites us so often, but Hinch, he has been close to winning the greatest spectacle in racing. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. It stings.
It does sting, but the thing that he can take from that race last week, and again, that sting will never go away. That was the single greatest drive Pato O'Ward has had in his IndyCar career, and that's saying something. This is a phenomenal driver. That car nowhere near at the performance level, I don't think, of Joseph Newgarden's, but he threw that thing on his back and dragged it up. You can see the emotion, what it takes out of you losing this race. It's as heartbreaking as winning it is elating for the driver that does that. But still, a lot for Pato to be proud of. Consistently, he's finding himself up front at the 500 at the end of that race. He's getting one of these one day.
Townsend, is there really such a thing as the Indy 500 hangover for drivers?
I think for everybody. I mean, you think about the crew. This is different than NASCAR. IndyCar crew members have to prepare street course cars from oval configuration. They don't get a break, and they have to go over the wall today as well. So not just for the drivers that have to do a complete reset, both in terms of recovering from the 500, but also adjusting their technique. As you see, the results have not exactly been promising for Indy 500 winners in terms of coming to the next race. Joseph Newgarden couldn't do it very well last year. So the entire team, everybody is feeling the aftermath of a great Indy, but they're struggling a bit.
Last weekend we got to see Joseph Newgarden defend his Indy 500 win of a year ago. Alex Palou would love to defend his win here in Detroit of a year ago. Detroit, Michigan, the most famous automotive city in the world. So it's appropriate the NTT IndyCar Series is back racing in the Motor City. Callum Ilot's day is over just as it begun. Colton Herta on Santino Ferrucci in the 14. They touch.
Game of chicken.
And Grosjean's blowing it.
Disaster for Grosjean. Crash.
In the wall, turn 9, Pato O'Ward.
This has happened under caution. Grosjean, it's over.
Another wall banger for Romain Grosjean. He's like a surgeon, so precise, so methodical with every step.
Take your flag. Great job, man.
The Motor City says hello, hello.
Alex Palou is trying to do exactly what he did here last year on the streets of Detroit. Still in the front row, starting second. How does that change things? Do you have any concerns about the beginning of this race?
Yeah, but as always, same as I did last year. I mean, every time you start on a street course, especially a street course tight as it is Detroit, it's concerning. But it's the same for everybody. We're starting on the best starting position, so front row is great. Hopefully we can get a clean start, clean first couple of corners, and see from there.
For someone with a good car and a championship lead, are these types of races with unknowns and concrete walls more worrisome than others?
No, not really. I mean, whenever we have a fast car, it's fun. It's still fun, and it's no worrying. So it's worrying when you have a slow car and you cannot really move up front. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the race. The car's been really good all weekend, and I think we have a good shot to win the race today.
Alex Palou, definitely one to watch today. Starting up in the front, Diff.
And Kevin, let's not forget he led 74 of the 100 laps here a year ago. He's got a championship lead of some 20 points. Do you get the feeling we're going to be talking about Alex Palou a lot today?
Well, let's talk about technique. There's a couple of ways to approach this racetrack, which is so challenging, so bumpy, and so unforgiving. You can go aggro. You can be really aggressive, like you'll probably see from Colton Herta or Pato O'Ward behind the wheel. Or you can go with exacting precision, which is what the surgeon, Alex Palou, has done and proven is the winning way around here. It's going to be fascinating to see those two driving styles play out.
But look, this guy loves momentum. He won the GP from pole. He's on the front row here. He had a strong Indy 500. We've seen this one before, guys. A year ago, he was on a streak that started at the GP that really set the tone for that championship run. It's going to be tough to beat him.
And he's going to go head-to-head with Andretti Global's Colton Herta. We will hear from the pole winner when we come back. With thanks to Hy-Vee, all season long, you have a chance to win one of 3 Corvettes. And let me amend that on the fly. Now it's only 2, because if you remember last week at Indy, 1 was given away. Simply scan the QR code on the right-hand side of that graphic, and we wish you the best of luck. 2 Corvettes to go, with thanks to Hy-Vee.
Detroit, we're going in there with the biggest intention of putting on a great show for everyone, but also delivering a win for GM at their home base.
Joseph Newgarden is on his way to the checkered flag. Newgarden wins in Detroit.
The Chevy engine was perfect. I had the fuel mileage I needed, I had the horsepower, the drivability. In Chevy's backyard, this is a big win.
At the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, it's a Chevy that wins. Pato O'Ward is a 2-time winner.
That's for Chevy, baby. That Chevy power took us there. Nice work, buddy.
Let's go!
Team Chevy, man. I mean, I'm so excited, so pumped to get them this. This is a Team Chevy territory.
The Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, the last one at Belle Isle, is won by Will Power.
Yes, yes, yes. Redemption, boys, redemption.
Will Power's win is the 100th for Chevy in IndyCar. That's a big accomplishment to bring Team Chevy.
There's a lot of pride in winning here in Detroit.
For decades, this has been the global headquarters of General Motors, the RenCen, as it's effectively known, the Renaissance Center, and we're standing right below it. It is such an iconic structure. There's 2 landmark events outside of the Indy 500 on the IndyCar schedule that the drivers want to win. If you're a Honda driver, you want to win the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. If you're a Chevy driver, you want to win here at the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. How big a deal is it for the drivers to do that for their manufacturer?
Well, listen, the drivers want to win everywhere, but it's the executives of the brands like Chevy and Honda that want those wins. Yesterday we had a fantastic IMSA race. There was Cadillacs and Corvettes in that race, but it was Porsche, it was Acura, it was Lexus at the front of the field. So I think there's extra pressure on the Chevy drivers in the shadows of corporate headquarters right behind us, and all of the executives and employees that are here today, that Chevy really wants the win today.
And all these drivers know that this doesn't happen, without the help of a lot of people from those engine manufacturers. So wins here, wins that are important to the people that support the race team, are important to drivers. You heard it in those interviews, like from Pato, like from Joseph. These guys are so thrilled when they can bring a home win for these manufacturers.
And one driver who would like to spoil the GM or Chevy party is with Marty Snyder.
Well, Colton Herta and his Honda would love to spoil the party, Lee. That's exactly right. So are manufacturer bragging rights really a motivating factor?
For sure, yeah. You know, we want to do well for Honda all the time, and especially here in GM's backyard. It feels really good for everybody at HRC if we win today.
Even starting from the front, what's the challenges of the streets here at Detroit?
You know, staying clean. It's incredibly tough to get tires up to temp, so I think you'll see a lot of guys working the overcut. Even the softer green compound is going to be still probably 2 laps to get into the window. So yeah, it's going to be all about strategy when you pit, how long you can go. So hopefully we get out front, hit a fuel number, and that can kind of dictate our race from there.
It was an interesting Saturday morning practice. Santino Ferrucci had some interesting words for you and your teammate Kyle Kirkwood. Are you concerned he races you any differently and maybe more aggressively today?
Can't be much worse than it already is.
All right, there goes Colton Herta. He'll start from the pole for the other side of that story. Here's Kevin Lee.
All right, Santino, where do things stand with the Andretti drivers?
Man, we're all good. I went over to their tent the other day after things had settled down. They're obviously an engineering meeting before we go out for qualifying, but me and Kyle texted back and forth. Man, like I said, we've known each other a long time. A lot of respect for both those guys. I'd say we're good to race, clean and hard, and I mean, like I said, it's hard to ruin a friendship that you've had since you were 6-7 years old. So, yeah, over a little bit of miscommunication on track.
Okay, let's talk about the race. The momentum continues for the A.J. Foyt number 14. 10th best start outside of the Indy 500 for the season. What do you have for today?
Man, honestly, I'm just so proud of these guys. I'm so proud of all of our A.J. Foyt racing crew. Just honored to be here. I love being here in Detroit. Celebrated my birthday on Friday. Like I said, it's been a hell of a weekend, and I'm very proud of everybody. I think we got a great race car. Showed a little bit of that in warm up this morning early on with the alternate green tire, and we'll just see. It's going to be a little bit of a dogfight out there today. We just want to survive and kind of stay in our lane here and bring it home clean.
Yeah, Lee, survival always a key on the streets of Detroit. AJ's driver is ready.
Well, Kev, Santino Ferrucci may have squared things off with Kyle Kirkwood. What we just heard from Colton Herta Hinch, things aren't squared off there. And then you've got to add Romain Grosjean to the situation. He's not pleased with Ferrucci at the moment either.
Yeah, the list is growing a little bit for Santino. I mean, credit to him for kind of putting the hand up, say, hey, I got hot under the collar. And T-Bell, you know, it's so easy to happen. It's a very emotional sport, a very passionate sport. Frustrations boiled over. He said he put up his hand and said, hey, I'm sorry, but I don't know if it's really going to be that kind of, it's not going to be reciprocated the same way from the others.
Listen, peace is only skin deep right now. That was practice that those guys got so jacked up. There was nothing on the line, no points, no trophy. If they find each other today and it's wheel to wheel, you can guarantee the tempers will erupt in the same or even greater fashion. That's what it's like racing the streets, elbows out. That's what those drivers are like when they go at it with each other.
Well, remember yesterday, Grosjean told Ferrucci's boss, Larry Foyt, next time I need your driver, I'm going to put him in the wall, and hard. So tempers are raised here in the Motor City. We are getting closer and closer to the drivers getting in their cars, and we're going to crank this thing up. Let's get the pre-race ceremonies going.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the U.S. Army Garrison Detroit Arsenal Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Father Tim McCabe, Executive Director of Pope Francis Center, offers today's invocation.
Let us pray. Blessed are you, Lord our God, God of car races and Lord of the universe. We give you thanks and praise for the blessings you have bestowed upon us and upon this great American city of Detroit. Lord, we call upon you now. Look with favor upon all of us gathered here this weekend. In your mercy, keep us all safe and protected. Drivers and teams, fans and spectators, and those who are working. Keep us united in our diversity, mindful of our blessings, and compassionate toward those who are less fortunate than us. This we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Here to perform the Canadian and United States National Anthem is the 2024 Motown Museum Amplify Artist of the Year, Jasmine Terrell.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, and all our hearts come bras se peut-il payer, il se peut-il la croire. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. We stand on guard, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the
Big round of applause for Jasmine Terrell and her performances of the Canadian U.S. national anthems. And
The F-16's flying over downtown Detroit. You know, we're just 6 races into the IndyCar season, and already it's been a memorable 2024.
The greatest place to start the IndyCar Championship.
Oh, that was a wallop.
Is there contact with Romain Grosjean? There sure is. The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete belongs to Joseph Newgarden. Team Penske, led by Joseph Newgarden, who had his win in St. Petersburg stripped. Pato O'Ward was awarded the victory. Felix Rosenquist, who gets a great start in the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Hit up the back.
Herta did some rear Indy beat.
Dixon versus Herta.
Chip came on, he's like, just go for it, man. And I was like, I'm going to try.
Well done.
Let's go racing at Barber Motorsports Park.
You gotta be kidding me. That's a mannequin. Scott McLaughlin is exhausted.
Thank you so much. Well done, team.
The month of May is officially underway. Whoa! 4 or 5 cars on the grass.
What you watched today, guys, was the Palou show.
This is the Indianapolis 500.
Oh, Blomqvist lost it down low.
Spin in front.
It's Colton Herta.
A huge one for willpower.
Joseph Newgarden around the outside of Pato O'Ward.
Let's go!
Oh my goodness!
May is over. The championship stretch for IndyCar starts right now. Closing in on the command to get the engines fired here in the Motor City.
Detroit.
Here we are, downtown Detroit. IndyCar makes its return. Let's go!
It's interesting.
Very, very challenging. Detroit street race is pretty great. The track raced really well. It was exciting. You could pass.
All these drivers want to be known for being the king of the streets here in Detroit.
Very tough, hot, physical experience.
It's a really tough course, very bumpy, really tight.
We're working around there for sure. One little mistake and you're quickly in a wall.
I was so tired after that race. It was so bumpy, mentally draining.
Racing back on the streets of Detroit, and it's Alex Palou who wins the Chevrolet Grand Prix of Detroit.
Honestly, the show that we put on the race, I think everybody loved it.
I think there was a little bit of apprehension about like how that was going to race and how it was going to go, and it turned out to be a fantastic show.
Over the years, the streets of Detroit have been very kind to Helio Castroneves, who is in for the next 2 races for Meyer Shank Racing in the 66 car. Tom Blomqvist is out for the rest of the year, but still with the team. Helio told me, I'm just trying to make sure our team is pointed in the right direction. I may only be in for 2 races. There's a lot to learn here this weekend, Kevin Lee.
Marty, it's been exactly 2 years since Willpower won, and it was here in Detroit, but he's been close. Second 7 times since. He thought yesterday he could fight for the pole and was seething when he could not advance, but his new self-appointed hype man, Flavor Flav, was there to cheer him back up. Power's in a good frame of mind today, and he thinks he has a car that can move to the front and contend. Dylan.
Kyle Kirkwood described his car yesterday as a rocket ship after qualifying, but he spun pushing to lay down a lap he felt like could beat his teammate Colton Herta for pole. We may see some of that speed from Kirkwood early. They're one of just 3 in the top 10 starting on the softer tire, and Brian Herta, the strategist, told me we expected that. We know we've got to attack the first 5 laps to keep us in the hunt. Watch for the 27 to move forward from 6, Marty.
Dylan, let's chat with Rob Edwards, the strategist for Colton Herta, who will be on the pole today. You know, when you look at this race, Rob, on paper, it's a very simple 2-stop race. Is it more complicated than that, though?
It's way more complicated than that. I wish it was a straightforward 2-stop race. You know, we're racing through these city streets and these walls, and you don't know when the yellows are going to come. And so there's this sort of random number generator that you're working around as you plot your strategy. And then obviously, you know, rain overnight. I think, you know, we had a pretty good idea where the tires all were on Friday. I still think they'll end up in the same place in terms of the balance between the alternates and the primes, but you know, a few things to figure out on the first stint, and it's spitting rain as we're talking, so who knows what's going to happen here.
I was going to ask you about that. Your driver's pretty good in the rain as it literally just starts drizzling here on pit road. Would you welcome rain today?
I wouldn't. I would welcome a nice cookie-cutter, clear 2-stop race. Obviously, starting on the pole, we're in a good position to execute that best. So that's what we'd like, but we'll take what it gives us and hopefully end up at the point at the end.
Lee, he wants a clean 2-stop race, but I have a feeling he may not get that here this afternoon. It's a complicated, tough place here in Detroit. Rob Edwards has to navigate it for Colton Herta.
Well, his boss's son, Michael Andretti's son, Marco, gave us one of the most memorable moments here in Detroit in wet weather. But that was down the river a little bit at Belle Isle. These are the downtown city streets. And as Marty and Rob Edwards were just discussing, you can see on the aero screen there, Hinch, a little bit of a sprinkle. That's going to spice things up.
It certainly could. Obviously nowhere near enough to not be using the dry tires rather for the start of this race. But we had weather overnight. That washed this track clean. A lot of the rubber was taken off. Drivers having to navigate that in morning warm-up a few hours ago. But Townsend, cooler conditions, little sprinkles on those windscreens. This could spice it up for real.
It certainly could. I might need to get a granola bar ready to explain. But the slick tires here, just a quick light splash on the warm-up lap of moisture. If you think about the concrete sections of this track and all of the Firestone rubber that's been laid down, you sprinkle some water on there at the wrong time, and it could be a disaster on the opening lap, going into the first big break zone after that massively long straightaway into the hairpin turn.
Well, not only do they have to deal with some sprinkles right now, but like any other downtown street surface, it's not exactly billiard table smooth. Watch Pato O'Ward get airborne. Look at this.
Four wheels in the air. That's driving offline down the back straight towards turn 3. And look at the start of the race, guys. That's where the start of the race happens. Not into turn 1, but down that longer back straight into turn 3. Drivers are going to be forced to be out there. We're going to see some action down there in that first corner.
Oh, you can count on it. And James, you and I went around in a pace car yesterday, and the reality is, as a driver like O'Ward, you have no idea where that bump exactly is. You can't see it from the elevation of where you sit in an Indy car. and you're going to have to go 2-3 wide on the start to make moves happen.
Well, our chief meteorologist is Marty Snyder. He loves it. He always says that his app is the best. What's the latest down there, mate?
No, what I tell you is you guys need better weather apps. That's what I say. I talked to Pato about that 4 wheels off the ground a moment ago, right before he was introduced at driver introductions. I said, did you feel it? He said, oh, yeah, it was, quote, gnarly. And he said, yeah, I now know what I don't want to do in the race. I don't want to be that far right going into turn 3 for sure.
Just one of the many obstacles that the 27 drivers will have to deal with here today for the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. There was a slight delay clearing the grid with the fans, but we're ready to go now, so let's go trackside for the command.
Race fans here in Detroit and watching around the world, it is time for the most famous words in motorsport. Here to give the command, please welcome President of General Motors North America, Marisa West.
Welcome to Detroit. Drivers, start your engines.
There's 100 laps ahead on these tough city streets of Detroit. Who's going to come out the other side the best? We'll start this thing next.
It's just dumb. It's dangerous. He drove right into me, purposely tried to drive me into the wall. And then he did it to Colton, too.
He felt like you turned into him right there.
Well, if you go back and watch and you see him step on it and turn left, and then his teammate did the same thing. What did I do? I don't even know what I did.
It's practice, relax. And I went up and tried to talk to him about it, and then he grabs me and is like shaking me. It's like, what are you getting mad at me for?
Is there a concern that something like that carries over into a race?
He'll be a little bit behind us, so I'm not too worried. We don't have time for him and his shenanigans at the back.
Leave it to them, man. We're out here doing our own thing. It's Detroit. I'm having a blast.
And cue the street fight. Oh, it's going to be a fun afternoon here in the Motor City. We're in downtown Detroit, and we welcome you to the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, presented by 5 Hour Energy. It's round 6 of the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series, a week fresh from a highly dramatic and thrilling Indy 500. We go to the streets, and it's Colton Herta on the pole, right alongside the defending race winner, Alex Palou.
Talk about diversity throughout this grid. You've got UFC fighters, James. You've got surgeons, veterans, rookies. This is going to have just about all kinds of personality as they fire down into that hairpin in turn 3.
As we keep going down the 5 Hour Energy starting grid, you see a couple big hitters further back in the field. And then you come to this last few rows, see a lot of rookies, but also Tristan Vautier making his return to the IndyCar Series, as well as Elio Castroneves back in the number 66, replacing Tom Blomqvist, hot off an Indy 500 run.
So it's not the longest track, it's only 1.6 miles, but it's time now for the Honda track preview. Take us around, fellas. Tell us what we need to look for.
Not the longest, it's in fact the shortest. It's bumpy, it's tight, it's 9 corners, a lot of elevation, a lot of surface changes. But it's got one of the longest full throttle stretches down here between 2 and 3 into a hairpin, which sets up for some interesting action down there.
It's very long, but it's also crazy bumpy, which is why Colton Herta is going to go driver's left. You would think the next corner is a right-hander, but watch here. He's going to fade out to the wall for a wide turn in this tight left hairpin that is turn 3, and now things narrow up real quick.
Turn 4 so tight on the exit here, but we saw drivers side by side on the first lap last year, sorry. Big bump into turn 5, then this crucial 6-7 chicane.
Yeah, you can short shift here if you want, but now you come down to what I think is the most difficult brake zone, turn 8. So many drivers lock up here and shoot long, and if you do that, you're losing maybe all of your positions going all the way to the back.
And you may have noticed the pit entry there, Hinch. That's pretty tight. You've got to get in there quick to the right. So similar to Mid-Ohio, folks, the start is not where the finish is. We've got this 2/3 of a mile long back straight heading up to turn 3, and that's where this Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix will start. Colton Herta on the right of your screen. Alex Palou in the yellow car. Here we go. Green in Detroit. As Mark Royce, the president of GM, waves the green. We're away, and they fly down towards turn 3. This is a tricky corner. Herta's got the inside. That's the preferential line. Oh, and Will Power gets tagged.
By who? Santino Ferrucci, and it leads to a 4-car stack-up. Pato O'Ward, Alexander Rossi Linus Lundqvist, along with the 2 Dale Coyne cars of Vautier and Harvey. Cautions out.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars.
Rossi's had a lot of experience with reverse so far this weekend. He's got it going. So does Pato O'Ward. Ferrucci's around.
Reverse.
So Will Power got an early launch, but was unable to flick his car around. There's going to be rear wing damage, so he has to come to pit lane anyways. But now he sits stalled, desperately hoping he can get refired here by the safety team before he goes a lap down.
I'm not even sure he's stalled. He just can't get reverse. He's asking for a pushback. He's not asking for a restart. I wonder if they could just push him back. But let's go back on the replay and see what happened to Power.
Watch the left.
Cannot get reverse.
Look to the left. Power's in that red and white car.
Oh, Power got the back stepped out a little bit. Oh, he got hit by Pato O'Ward?
No,
or is that
Pourchaire.
Pourchaire?
Pourchaire stuck in the middle of a 3-wide battle. You see that's the orange and black car. Middle of your screen there. Is that Lundgaard trying to go down the inside?
Yeah.
Creates a bit of a bottleneck.
Pourchaire had nowhere to go. He had to take some evasive action as Marcus Ericsson does a really nice job sliding through there.
I think he may have unsettled Pourchaire as well. There's kind of like a little chink there, and then the French driver gets into Power.
I don't think Ericsson touched Pourchaire as much as Pourchaire had to open the door as Lundgaard hard charging up the inside. That's where the back steps out on the brakes.
So at that point, when Will Power turns in, he assumes it's just Théo Pourchaire on the inside. 2 wide, easy to do. Let's take the view from Pato O'Ward a little further back.
Can't go anywhere.
I didn't see some drops on the camera there from Marcus Ericsson.
That might explain Will Power's little step out there on the brakes.
And you see Ericsson's hand was down at the bottom trying to grab the clutch just in case. This is Rossi. He was going around the outside of one of the Juncos Hollander cars and is just welcomed by his teammate parked in front of him.
Graham Rahal's view in the iPacket Honda. Oh, thanks. I'll slip up the inside here of my teammate Pietro Fittipaldi.
Quite a few spots gained there for Graham Rahal.
And this is a sigh of relief if you're pole sitter Colton Herta, that you're going to get a single file restart, right? Because things were kind of dicey there with Palou and everybody else as Will Power gets a new rear wing from the Verizon Team Penske crew.
Kevin Lee.
So as you saw just a moment ago, Will Power, who stayed on the lead lap, get a new rear wing. Felix Rosenqvist had a puncture. So that's why they had to come in here and get him out as quick as they can and also try to stay on the lead lap.
The Sunday bad luck continues for Rosenqvist in the 60.
The Smoky Soul Town Honda for Sirius XM satellite radio. They continue their Sirius XM channel-themed cars, which has been a hugely successful and popular activation. So things calm down now for a little bit to regroup and everybody to get reset. I have to say, folks, this doesn't come as a surprise. This is the nature of this track.
Cautions breed cautions, especially at a track like this. But again, for the first, say, 4 or 5 cars that just wanted to get a clean start and settle in, now they've been able to build tire temperature. Any moisture that might have been on the track from that little sprinkle is probably dried up, at least on the racing line.
I'm almost gonna disagree with you on this one, Townsend.
Don't almost, just disagree.
All right, I disagree with you on this. I'm not sure Colton was happy about that. He made it out of turn 1 in the lead. Now, Palou doesn't have to worry about being side by side. He can try to line Colton up. He's not worried as much about the cars around him. It's not as big of a safety risk, so you can just focus on full attack, and Herta's on the gas.
He's on a jump right now as Colton Herta, and I think that played out really well for him, Diff. He's got 5 car lengths as they come down that straight.
And watch Joseph Newgarden, the 2-time Indy 500 champion, that red car, because he has got Kyle Kirkwood coming up the inside, heading to turn 3. They're all defending. Kirkwood goes to the outside, has to try and change lanes. There's contact there. Newgarden goes long. Kirkwood's on the inside.
Kirkwood's going to get Newgarden there. He's going to push him wide. He'll have the line into turn 4. Scott Dixon now defending in the blue and orange car behind Newgarden, but it's still Colton out front.
Here comes Christian Lundgaard on the outside in the Hy-Vee Honda. Can't do it there. That's too tough. He knows he's got a fast car. He's ready to race.
He also clipped the right rear tire of Scott Dixon's car in front of him with the left front corner of his wing. That can sometimes cause punctures, and a big lunge down into turn 8 from Lundgaard makes it work.
Wow, he is fired up from qualifying yesterday. He felt he had a car that should have been on the front row of this grid. There was a little refueling hiccup in qualifying, and it kind of stopped him in his track. So he said, I am fired up today, and I'm ready to go to the front.
Look at the left-hand side in the pylon graphic there as you see the tire compounds. Alex Palou on the softer alternate Firestone, Colton Herta on the harder tire. Again, big advantage now that Colton has tire temperature, because that is the vulnerability on the opening lap. Palou had the advantage, but Herta has been so quick as they go side by side. That's the black and green car of Augie Canapino making moves on Ericsson.
And you talk about Canapino, he's up 7 positions from his starting spot.
Bit of contact there. Alex Rossi, Rinus VeeKay in front in the green and black machine. Well, let's take another look at that bold pass from Lundgaard. He's on those softer alternates, like you said, down into turn 8, the most tricky corner on the track. First lap trying to maximize, because he knows once Dixon gets heat in those primaries, it's going to be much harder to pull off this kind of move.
On board here is Lundgaard, goes up the inside there. That was fierce, and something that Scott Dixon will not forget the rest of this race.
We would never expect a pass like that there. That was bold, and it was good heads up from Scott Dixon too. He saw it coming. Lundgaard kind of telegraphed it a bit, and they were successful at getting through. So out onto the back straight again. Herta, Palou, McLaughlin, Kirkwood, then Lundgaard. Here's the fight at the front.
Push to pass is now available, so Alex Palou has already burned 3 of the 150 seconds to give you about another 50 horsepower, and that really pays off down the long straightaway.
This is such a crucial phase here. There's been a lot of debate up and down pit lane. Which tire is going to be the preferred tire? Colton on the black sidewall primary tires, Palou behind on the green sidewalled alternate tires. They're a little softer, maybe a little better over a lap, but can they last over a stint?
That's the thing. Once we get to about lap 25, how much of the alternate's going to fall off? We just don't know, and candidly, nobody on pit lane knows. They had a warm-up this morning, 30 minutes, but the track temp was so cold, Marty, that it's really hard to get a read on what the tires will do.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part of the day, is will the tire temperature come up once they put brand new tires on? Pato O'Ward, bottom of your screen, was part of that last wreck. Good news, bad news. First, the good news. Listen in on the radio.
Okay, from your seat, Pato, it looks good on data right now. Yeah, I think so. The hit with the front wings wasn't too big, and Rusty didn't hit me too hard either, so I think it's all right.
So after that contact, good news, car is fine. Bad news, they have lost all of their track positions. Started 12th today, sitting back in 21st. Townsend, it's going to be a long day for this 5 team.
The 24-year-old Californian Colton Herta leads the way. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Life moves fast, keep it in focus. Hy-Vee this racing season help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power equipment. And by iPacket and iPacket Recon, driving the truth and driving Recon faster. Well, going backwards faster is what's happening to the defending race winner. Alex Palou, in the space of a commercial break, has gone from being on Colton Herta's gearbox to just flailing and dropping to 7th place in this race. Let's check in with Dylan Welsh.
And Scott McLaughlin passed him for 2nd, which started this freight train backwards for Palou. This was McLaughlin's radio as he set up that pass on the 10.
Palou's already grinding in the rear. Copy that. It's on used.
And that's a great point. They started used alternates. This is exactly what the 3 planned. They started blacks. They wanted to watch what Palou did on the greens. It's falling right into the favor for the 3, Kevin.
And it was a bold strategy. Alex Palou was the only one to start on used alternates, the softer tire, and there was concern how long it would last. Just about 45 seconds ago, he said the rears are gone. Then the call was pit this lap. Palou is coming in.
That's a disaster.
Totally.
Because not only does he have to come in way outside the window, those were scuffed alternate tires. The rules require that brand new alternates are they have to be used. in the race as he dives into the pit, so he's got to run another set.
He's asking the team, are you sure that it's time to bring the DHL Honda to pit road? They say, yeah, Kevin Lee's there.
And if you caught the beginning of that, Barry Wanzer said, we're going to use the sticker greens to get him out of the way. So he thinks this is now a primary race. Differing opinions up and down the pit lane. So these are the alternate green 5-well Firestones. And Palou is back out, but now some work to do.
So that makes it a 3-stopper for Palou almost certainly. And the other thing it does is it reveals the hand to the whole field. Everybody now knows that the greens are going to be tough to hang on to, so they can alter their opening stint, run longer on this opening stint on blacks.
Yes and no. I mean, let's get a look at these tires. There's a little bit of graining on them. You can certainly see that, but you got to remember, because these were scuffed tires, these were used in qualifying. They had a big heat cycle put on them. You can see all that balled up rubber. That just shows as the graining's kind of starting on these tires. But Townsend, everyone else started on sticker, on brand new. Look at that. Look how feathered it is. That is not, tires supposed to be slick and smooth. That is not what those tires look like. But just to finish the point, the cars that went around in Kirkwood, Lundgaard, Porsche, those cars are also on alternates, and they're running just fine.
Well, I don't know about that. We go on board here with Kirkwood as the leaders are starting to
complaining about DAG, so let's just kind of take care of these.
The voice of Brian Herta, his strategist, saying, let's just take care of these, Marty, these tires, because they're reporting graining, and we'll see how it goes for Kirkwood.
Yeah, and so with all this going on, I just checked in with Rob Edwards, he's strategist for Colton Herta. I said, does this change your mindset? Because he was thinking that it would be an alternate race today. He said 100% this changes how we'll approach the rest of this race. So Herta on primaries right now. So we went into this race, Hinch, thinking you want to make your shortest stint the primary stint. I think everybody's flipped that all of a sudden early in this race here in Detroit.
Yeah, I ran into Eric Bretzman, who's a technical director for Andretti Global, and he said they were kind of thinking it was going to be a green race. That's why they started on the primaries, was to get the bad tire out of the way, be able to run their preferred tire the rest of the race. Clearly that shifted. The good news for Colton Herta is throughout all of practice, he was devastatingly quick on those primary tires. So this actually might fall into his hands.
Oh, it's in Herta's hands 100%. And Diff, if you're Colton Herta right now, you run long. Run as many laps as you can, so you're going to shorten up your green stint to protect yourself, because you have the speed. Right now, the guy with the speed is Joseph Newgarden, the outside.
Here we go. Turn 3. It's the long way around. Let's see what Christian Lundgaard can do. And he makes Joseph work for it. Keeps that position in the Hy-Vee Honda. That's the battle for 4th and 5th. Dixon is here. Porsche, the 20-year-old French star who had to sit out the Indy 500 and watch Callum Eilert drive his car, but he'll do the rest of the season. Let's go for a ride with him, the NTT data machine.
Oh, look at the pass up front. That's Newgarden stuffing it in on Lundgaard. Again, Lundgaard on that softer alternate tire, lap 15, and Lundgaard now, just like Palou, falling apart in terms of balance of his race car.
Side by side with the guy that he passed in turn 8. Lundgaard's going to get the favor returned by Scott Dixon any moment now. And Marcus Ericsson in that Delaware Life Honda at the back joins this conversation. Marty?
They just told Christian Lundgaard a moment ago, who is now losing spots, and they're talking about bailing here for Lundgaard and coming to pit road way earlier than they would like as well. They said it looks like it's going to be a primary tire race, and Lundgaard said, you can tell me. He's the one behind the wheel trying to hold everybody off. Man, what a change here early in this race in Detroit from a strategy standpoint.
Townsend and I spoke to Lundgaard this morning, and I don't think I've ever seen him that fired up. He was in a good mood, but the determination in his face and the words that he was using just through the disappointment yesterday after qualifying.
Right, box this time, box.
So with Christian Lundgaard, he made it 15 laps as there's a big pack up with Kiffin Simpson and Helio Castro Neves.
I think that might be turn 5.
Turn 5. Oh, Marty.
And Lundgaard got in just in time, Marty.
I was going to ask you, Hinch, did he make it in time? That's the question. They told him to come. Anyway, you see those primaries going on for Christian Lundgaard, who was a second and a half slower on those alternate tires.
Second caution of this Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. And this is how it happened. Ferrucci into Helio Castro Neves.
Can pit stops under caution. Alex Palou, who had his alternates go away very quickly. This yellow helps. Now he is going to be done with the greens, the softer sidewalls, and he can go primary Firestones the rest of the way, all the way to pit out. Also, we see Felix Rosenquist, who needed to stop. He is the first of these to win the race on pit road, followed by Santino Ferrucci, and then Palou barely gets out ahead of Linus Lundqvist.
Yeah, beats his teammate out. That's how narrow and tight it is. The reason why we're under a second full course caution here in Detroit. Watch closely. It involves 3 cars, Santino Ferrucci, Elio Castro Neves, and then the rookie Kiffin Simpson at the back in the blue and yellow car has nowhere to go. Watch this. Boom.
14 bull charges the back of the 66 there.
You see that left front lock. He's trying to get back all the way. Sorry, right front lock, trying to get back to the driver's right. Elio sort of driving mid-track in a defensive position, but not doing anything outside the rules. And
that's likely to get reviewed.
I could see an avoidable contact penalty coming for the 14. Dylan, do you know anything more?
Well, here is his radio. He's been right around both of these wrecks. This was his view on the latest.
Everybody was piling up into the corner. I couldn't stop. How bad are the tires? The tires are fine. Dude, everybody just checked up for feel it.
And I think they were just checking to make sure they didn't flat spot those tires, as Ferrucci's obviously in the back. But promising day has gone south in a hurry for the 14.
So we'll wait and to hear from race control if there is any penalty going to be assessed to the driver of the Sexton Properties Chevy, Santino Ferrucci. Colton Herta has led every lap thus far, all 18 of them. And his plan to rebound from an Indy 500 that went away. This Gainbridge Honda was one of the pre-race favorites at the Indy 500. Colton was in a terrific position and crashed out on lap 170 last weekend. It was agonizing for the driver who once led the championship this year. He started the season with back-to-back podiums, really inspirational stuff. And then last weekend, he finished 23rd out of the 33-car field. So this is comeback weekend. This is rebound weekend and reset for the remainder of the season. Because we're not stopping anytime soon. Road America is next weekend in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin.
Just keeps plowing on. Go west after that to Laguna Seca as Colton Herta wipes his eyes, shuts the visor. And we'll have to see if we restart this lap.
Now look,
a little surprised that Kyle Kirkwood did not come to pit lane because he's on that alternate tire. And I think that what Palou did by pitting again and dumping the alternates tells me conclusively that this is a black tire race. You want to do the shortest stint possible on the green tires, get rid of them, finish on blacks, which comes as a surprise for most of this field.
Maybe they're thinking, hey, we're going to get yellows. Yellows breed yellows, and if we can finish this stint out, try to keep it in the 2-stop range, guys like Kirkwood and Pourchaire are in better position.
The Hy-Vee Honda of Christian Lundgaard has been in the conversation so far today, and with thanks to Hy-Vee, you have a chance to win one of 3 Corvettes that they're giving away. They've already awarded one of them to a lucky winner. That was last week in Indy. So 2 Corvettes left. All you got to do is scan the QR code on your screen now, and good luck. And we say thank you once again to Hy-Vee. Up at the front of the field is Colton Herta. Let's have a listen to some recent radio.
Colton, he's reporting you blew the rears off pretty bad. Okay, copy. I mean, we got to go long here. Trying to maximize that. And what was Kyle saying about the tires? So far, so good, but this will help cool them down.
What do you make of that, boys?
It's great teamwork. It's great that with Kirkwood on the alternates, he can give feedback to Colton on the primaries and vice versa. So this is a good example of the team kind of covering their bases, covering 2 different strategies and sharing information across the 2.
To me, it also speaks to the compliance advantage that Andretti Global seems to have on this bumpy racetrack. They ride the bumps really well, and when you have great compliance from your spring and damper package, you can take care of the tires that much better. Dylan.
And Hinch, you got it right on Kirkwood's strategy here. Brian Herta said it's early for us to come pit. We'd like to try to go 18 to 20 more laps on these green tires. Can you do it? Kirkwood said, I don't feel great, but I'm surviving. It's going to be tough, but I think we may be able to do it. So they're going to try to do it on 2 stops here. Kirkwood's going to have to make these greens last, but as you said, they got cooled down here, so we'll see if that resets them.
I want to go back to a week ago as well with the driver of the Auto Nation Honda, because we were all caught up in everything that was going on at the front, and understandably so. But this guy drove to a really fine 7th place. It's his equal best result of the season. And maybe if there was another handful of laps, this guy was going to be there. He was going to be at the front. He was coming on strong in those last, say, 10 to 15 laps. He came back from a penalty. Remember what happened on pit road? So yet for the 2nd year in a row, he had a potentially winning car. So I think always in the future, keep Kyle Kirkwood in mind at the Indianapolis 500.
Pace car is off. Kirkwood warming those rear tires.
Scott McLaughlin up ahead in the Gallagher Chevy. Haven't spoken a lot about Scotty Mack today, but we're probably about to.
Green flag.
The green flag waves here on the back straight. Exiting turn 2, let's go. Track is clean and clear, and Herta leads them, and watch that car in 3rd place. Watch Kyle Kirkwood working on Scotty Mack, pops out of the draft.
This is the phase where those alternates are going to have the advantage over the primary. Kirkwood's got to strike now if he wants to make a move. Dixon side by side with Porcher gets checked up by Newgarden. Had to take evasive action mid-corner. Everybody getting through cleanly.
No great surprise. Stop and go penalty for the driver of the 14, Santino Ferrucci, for the contact with Elio Castro Neves right here.
Yeah, Ferrucci will know that that's coming. You can hear it in his voice on the radio. Just got caught out, surprised. But he'll pay the price as Herta leads, and that advantage that Kirkwood might have had on the opening lap, I think, is quickly going to dissipate as Pietro Fittipaldi with a nice run there. He's side by side with Rinus VeeKay in the green and black Ed Carpenter racing car. There's Ferrucci.
Back to it, here's a move. Rinus VeeKay on the inside of the 5-Hour Energy Honda. Pietro Fittipaldi, nicely done at turn 1.
Left thumb goes down to push to pass.
See the green flashing lights on either side of the dash. Both of these drivers on the button. This is teammate on teammate. RLL's Fittipaldi in front, Ray Hall on board.
This is what happened.
Contact here between teammates.
Oh,
Fittipaldi checks up. Searam's right front wing is certainly damaged a little bit.
And this is Will Power nearly or actually getting in to the right rear of Alex Palou. Doesn't seem to have done any damage, but just shows you how tight and how close the racing is in some of these sections.
So none of the top 14 cars have stopped. You've got to wait until you get to Christian Lundgaard in that Hy-Vee Honda. The first 2 has pitted so far in this Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, and we are almost at quarter race distance.
Gotta wonder how much gas Colton Herta is trying to save at this point while maintaining the lead to extend this first window. Let's just ride on board and listen.
Oh, trouble.
Is that a motor or tire rub?
Rasmussen. Don't see any damage on the car. That's a motor.
Right side header blowing sparks and smoke. Never a good sign.
Got a pit.
Yeah, pit this time, pit this time.
He's got a whole train of cars behind him, though. It's going to be tough to get into pit in because he's on the wrong side of the racetrack. You see it started back at the end of the back straightaway.
Sparks coming out of the exhaust and just metal on metal internally.
Yeah. Yes.
And this thing might light off once it comes to a stop.
Christian Rasmussen, who was pretty spectacular in his maiden Indy 500 last week. But his Detroit Grand Prix has come to an abrupt halt for the rookie in this year's NTT IndyCar Series. Colton Herta continues to lead the way. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Pods. Save up to 25% now at pods.com. Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power equipment. And by 5-Hour Energy, proud partner energizing RLL Racing. 5-Hour Energy tastes great and fixes tired fast. Welcome back to the streets of Detroit. You're watching the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Kev.
The 5-Hour Energy car is in and out, so Pietro Fittipaldi is one of those that started on the alternates. He has satisfied that requirement. Car's been pretty good all weekend. Remember, these are all new tracks for Pietro Fittipaldi. Solid day so far.
And your eyes aren't deceiving you. They are raindrops on the camera lens of the 5-Hour Energy Honda.
And Fittipaldi's got to be so careful on this outlap on the harder compound slick tire. If there is moisture, especially anywhere offline, if he slides just a little bit, he can fall
Sprinkling a little bit, buddy. Sprinkling a little bit.
into the clutches of a slick track as he gets the call from pit lane to be careful. This is where you really got to watch it.
Cold tires, full fuel, bumpy circuit, and now raindrops on the racetrack. This is absolutely the kind of time when mistakes happen, and this is when a caution could come out and really throw some of these strategies sideways.
Marty?
What else can we throw into the mix today, Diff? Why not a little extra rain? So yeah, all the teams are talking about that. Here's the other complicating factor, Townsend. The leaders would like to get about 10 more laps into this run, about lap 38 or so before they come down for their first stops of the day. But Colton Herta right now, that almost 2.5 second lead, looking pretty strong.
Yeah, the reason for that, Marty, of course, is that Colton Herta and Rob Edwards would love to run about 22 laps max on the softer alternate tire in the middle of the race and then finish with another long stint to get to lap 100.
Simple math, right? The longer you can run on this one if you're on primaries, the shorter you can get away with the less preferred tire. So remember, guys like Kirkwood, though he's 6 seconds off the lead, it's not all lost. They are getting this alternate stint out of the way, where guys like Herta and McLaughlin are still going to have to swallow that pill at some point.
The curveball would be if a caution came right now, then Colton would be forced to have to pit under caution and run longer in the middle of the race, and then the advantage would go back to somebody like Alex Palou, who's already satisfied the tire requirement.
What do you think about Newgarden, where he sits?
I was just going to say, he's the other one you got to keep an eye on. He pit on that lap 15 caution. He's satisfied the tire regulations as Ericsson here defending against Pourchaire into turn 3.
But Newgarden pitting on lap 15, it means that he probably has to make 2 more stops unless there's a ton of yellow to get to the end. Whereas Colton Herta is on that 2-stop pace.
But look, we saw pace out of that 45 early in this race.
Yeah.
Even if the yellow's fallen away where everybody takes it and he's on level playing field from 11th right now, considering where he was, that's not terrible. He can get some moves done on the track.
Yeah, but they're going to have to be lungy moves to get forward, and that's high risk. As Pourchaire comes in, lap 31. Marty, this is the best on the alternates. Kirkwood's still out there, but this is a really good run.
Yeah, Kirkwood is still the one everybody's chasing. He's sitting in third on those alternate tires. They actually wanted Teo Pourchaire to go 2 more laps. He said, but I'm just losing so much time. They told him, bring it on in. He's going to stick on the sticker primary tires as the leaders continue to circulate, most of them on primaries except for Kirkwood on those alternates.
He did a really nice job, Teo Pourchaire, yesterday in qualifying. Go hard, go hard. It was his best in his young and early IndyCar career, qualifying on the 4th row in 7th position. As he's trying to get up to speed, Jack Harvey comes out of the draft there a little, and then Pourchaire gets up to speed and makes it difficult for Jack.
He's got to be careful on the brakes here. He's got the command to go hard, but you have ice-cold Firestones up front in this heavy brake zone.
Gets it slowed down, manages to make the corner. Harvey not able to respond on the over-under. Pourchaire doing a great job on his first hot stop outlap at this circuit.
Excellent job. Excellent job. It's high stress as a driver to try to hold position and get your tires warm without making a mistake when there's concrete all around you.
Okay, guys, let's throw another curveball at this situation. With rain on the lens, if there's a chance that our resident weatherman, Marty Snyder, might be mistaken and we get some proper rain here, well,
here's a proper pass. Here's a proper pass. Joseph Newgarden on Kyle Kirkwood at turn 3. That was for 3rd place.
What I was going to say as we see that pass happen is if it rains proper and rain tires ever have to be used, the tire rule goes out the window. Yeah. So guys like Herta, they wouldn't actually ever have to do the alternate tire.
Getting close to that first stop for the race leader. AMR safety team having to work a little more than they thought, retrieving Scott McLaughlin and the Gallagher Chevrolet. What happened to Scotty Mack?
Sounds like a little bit of rear lock in there, Townsend, on the way in.
Started with left front lock. And then the back came around, Marty, as everybody comes to pit lane in this very valuable window at about the right time.
First caution stops here on the split pit road at Detroit. Colton Herta had 0 complaints about his car. He actually went with primary tires here on this stop for Colton Herta. Joseph Newgarden is up front as well. He's going to alternates, Dylan.
Kyle Kirkwood came in. They got off of the green tires. He actually said it felt like we were getting better even with the tire deg on those greens at the end. They're done with those if they want it. Primaries here for Kirkwood.
All right, now we've got a split group. Those who pitted and those who did not. So the likes of Christian Lundgaard, Alex Palou, Augustine Canapino, Will Power. They pitted way earlier in this race.
A nice split program happening. Lundgaard leading that one as he was furthest up when that pit cycle started. But guys, this is an interesting call from the 26 to not get the alternates out of the way. There are 2 reasons for it. One, like we were talking before we went to break, there's a chance that if rain comes, then they don't have to use it at all. Rain negates the tire rule and the requirements to run both compounds. Furthermore, when a tire's degging high, like the alternate is, it tends to be a little bit better and gets taken care of when there's more rubber on the racetrack, which obviously you're going to have in the last stint of the race. So this could be a strategic call, but you also want the best tire on the car at the end of the race, which is not the alternate. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But guys, look at how much rain we see on Newgarden's camera.
I think you're right. I think some of the teams are seeing weather come, and in that case, degradation of the tire will give way to a rain tire outright, and then we'll be talking about a totally different kind of degradation if it dries back up. Newgarden, though, sits all the way back here in 19th. Something went wrong on pit lane.
Front left,
it looks like the fueler's struggling big time to get the valve open and get, there it goes. It just clicked, so he didn't get seated perhaps, or something stuck, Marty. Issues for the 2.
Yeah, they couldn't get fuel in the car. That's what happened with Joseph Newgarden, and I heard them say it wouldn't vent, but right now they are changing out the hose here on the 2 pit and going to a backup hose. Team Penske had that ready. They're going to hook that in and see if they do not have an issue on their next stop. We will check to see if they got it fuel. Also, it is starting to rain harder here on pit road. You can see it on the right there. And look at that on Joseph Newgarden's onboard camera. I mean, it's starting to rain legitimately now here, and you're right, here, maybe everyone has to go to rain tires here.
Game on.
But the radar does not show big blobs coming. I mean, if you look at even over in Livonia to the west, there's just nothing there flowing in, but you saw Newgarden almost throw the car away outright just trying to find some temperature.
So that's just the point, Townsend. It doesn't matter how many stops you have to make if your car's in the wall.
Here, get this lap, get this lap.
Oh boy.
Let's go again.
They're going to go to wets.
Yep. Marty.
It always seems whoever gets to the wets first is able to make take the best advantage. You see Pato O'Ward on pit road. Joseph Newgarden, maybe that fueling issue has played to their favor. Colton Herta stayed out, however, and he just said on the radio, do we not have someone watching the radar in the truck that can advise us something like this is coming? But Rob Edwards made the point, Hitch, that you just made. He said this is not on the radar. That's why we did not know this was coming.
That's just it. Weather is an imperfect science, and obviously the teams are looking. They're keeping eyes out for this.
It's not hard enough for rain, but that's from the truck.
It is not hard enough for rain, so they're going to gamble, but this restart is going to be uber sketch.
You guys got to decide, but I can barely go through the hairpin.
Colton Herta saying, I can barely go through the hairpin. Look at him light it up down the hill. My goodness.
Oh, this is going to be a disaster.
Yeah, we see you. You need to come. Pit this time.
Oh no! So this is terrible news for Colton Herta. They had things firmly under control. There was no sign of this on the radar, and now they'll come in and go to wets. And James, if this disappears in terms of weather, they'll have to come right back to pit lane. They'll get a lap or two out of the wets until the track dries.
As you guys can.
But it's more about the fact of all the track position he's lost from the drivers that picked the lap before. So this is a disaster for the 26 crew. You see drivers peeling in that didn't come in last time.
Guess who didn't? Guess who didn't? Lundgaard stayed out. Here's Palou. Kevin.
And he's very much back in the mix. He'd already cycled up to second, but was going to need some help, a lot of help, to be able to get it done on one more stop. But now he's very much back in play, and he's going to win this race up pit road, Marty.
Colton Herta leads on the rain tires. He's excellent in the rain, but even this is too much for him to handle on the slicks. And yes, there are cars that have stayed out not on rain tires, but I know among them Christian Lundgaard, who is leading this group, is coming down next time. It's just too much right now for slicks.
Yeah, saw the 45 high V crew at RLL.
Stay out, man. Let's see where this goes.
I like it.
Yep, okay.
I like it. Christian Lundgaard.
There you go, the driver overruling. Finally, Hinch and Townsend, you get your way.
I think that could be the winning move. If he can hang on, if they don't throw the green right away, this track's going to dry up, and Lundgaard can stay out. If he can hang on to his race car, why not gamble?
We told you earlier today how fired up this guy was for a win
So
after yesterday.
Definitely pit lane, but you can still see dry spots.
Dylan.
Kirkwood stayed out too in second. He was debating with Brian Herta, the strategist, for about 2 laps there about what to do. Take a listen.
I don't know. It's a tough call because turn 3 is wet.
Yeah, there's no rain in the forecast.
It should dry pretty quick.
How do you think you could ride this out?
I don't know. See what Colt does.
Building the drama, so they kind of went different from what Colton did there. Yeah, and you can hear they went different from what Colton did there. And it has stopped raining right now, so maybe the right call.
Yeah, Colton Herta, if it does dry, is going to be really furious with his and the team's decision to bring him in. This is a situation, though, where you have to trust your driver. The driver is in control of the decision here. The team doesn't know exactly what the track is feeling like.
But what nobody knows is why we're not green right now. This extended yellow is making this go back into the hands of the drivers that stayed out, but I can't figure out why we're still yellow. We need to get this race going and let the drivers that made this call figure it out. I'm very confused as to why we're just circulating under yellow.
Lundgaard on regular tires. Kirkwood on regular tires. Will Power, regular tires. Wow, this is going to be wild. So too Scott Dixon. So too Marcus Ericsson. So too Romain Grosjean and Rinus VeeKay, Marty. Top 7 on regular tires.
Yeah, guess what? It has stopped raining on pit road. Holy smokes, this thing has really changed, Kevin.
And Alex Palou said, hey, we may need to go back to the slicks right now. Barry Wanzer just told him, stay out for now.
What are we doing?
Let's go racing.
This is unbelievable. This is very unfairly biasing all the drivers that stayed out. It was a simple car in the runoff that was fired and it's been rolling for a while.
If I'm Palou, I'd say come back now. Let's put slicks on. Let's not do it under green flag running. The track is coming right back to the drivers that are on slick tires. And as quick as this track is going to dry, if you're on wets, they're going to start chunking, getting hot, and in a lap or two, you're going to have to pit.
So we've just got a note from Race Control that answers your question, Hinch, about why are we still in this position as one of the Juncos, Hollinger Chevy, stepped out. They are looking at the order. Race Control looking at the order on track.
Looks like 1 to go from the flag station.
Seems weird. We have cautions. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what's happening up there. That seems...
It's dry right here.
Uncharacteristic.
Uh-oh.
But still difficult for a car on the wet tires. Elia Castroneves. And you can see who's on what tire right there on the pylon. First wet driver is Alex Palou down in 8th place.
And this is one of the issue too on wets. On the dry sections of this track, they get worn down very quickly, and then you hit a wet section and it's really no advantage. Where the wet tire is really an advantage is if there's spray. There's no spray.
Okay, just got a note from Race Control. Will Power, driver of the Verizon Chevy, as we watch the replay of Elio Castroneves. Will Power, failure to pack up, a loss of 3 positions.
Yeah, he was running there in 4th place or 3rd place, I think. Dropped down to 6th, was wondering why that happened.
Now everybody furiously trying to get temperature as we get ready, I think, for a restart on the back straightaway. Let's just ride.
Well, here's the thing. If you're one of the cars that's on slicks, you've got a good chance of having a caution come out right away, Marty, as Alex Rossi comes in.
Yeah, making that call to go to dries as we get ready to go green.
These guys at the front are going to be like dogs running on a polished wooden floor, trying to get traction. It's going to be crazy. Here we go, back straight, back to green, with a mix of wet and dry weather tires, and Kyle Kirkwood takes the fight to Christian Lundgaard. How's this turn 3 going to shape up? More so, the exit. What's the exit of this turn going to be like? Power on the inside. Oh, and hits VK.
I think Power almost got backwards. VK is the one that turns around. Question is, did he stall?
His failure to pack up penalty is about to become an avoidable contact penalty, but this again plays into the hands of the drivers that stayed out on slicks.
Will Power and Rinus VK coming together at the hairpin. It's another caution. Back in Detroit and back under yellow, unfortunately. I'd say it'll be fairly quick before we get back racing here in this Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Boy, we're not even halfway yet. We've seen a bit of everything. This is how it went down from Will Power's point of view.
They go 3 wide, Power up the inside. Actually, initially I thought that was Power's fault, but Rinus VK came arcing across the bow of Power, so I don't put that on Power at all. In fact, VK with avoidable contact, I believe, in that scenario.
Well, here's the thing. VK thought he was just having to clear the 1 car of the Juncos Hollinger. Then the 12 came in there, so it makes it tough. But Marty, some leaders on pit road.
Among them, Colton Herta going to go to the alternate tires. Now it's completely stopped raining. Christian Lundgaard also coming down pit road to take on some tires as well, Kevin.
Alex Palou debated it until the very last moment. He gets off the wet Firestones back onto the primaries.
Oh no!
Second up pit lane.
Oh no! Joseph Newgarden ran over the wheel gun, and it threw him into the wall. One of the pit crew members was scrambling. Christian Lundgaard also had a moment in his pit box when he hit a wheel.
I believe I saw Joseph Newgarden's inside front tire changer, Caitlin Brown, right there with the blonde hair. I think she went down. Nice to see that at least she's up and appears to be all right.
Watch this, we'll show you a replay. Watch the hose and the gun. So here's Lundgaard first, and he hits the tire of the front right changer. Didn't hit the changer, but hit the tire. It's Newgarden in that box behind that you're watching on his release.
It's so slick down here in pit lane, guys, when it's wet. This concrete section, almost no grip at all. So we're seeing now the 2 getting serviced, and they just didn't get the gun back fast enough. Look at how quick the reaction was.
Oh,
my goodness.
So close for the high V members there. I think the gun pulled his car hard right.
It did. And almost hit that Rahal Letterman Lanigan team member.
That was really close.
And that's Lundgaard hitting his tire and the gun and hose on the front right changer. Wow, eventful stop here in Detroit. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by eBay Motors. NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. Hy-Vee, this racing season you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting hyvee.com. And by 5 Hour Energy. Life moves fast, keep it in focus. So a quick shower that's gone over us here below the Renaissance Center there on the shores of the Detroit River has caused chaos. This race has already seen 4 cautions for 21 laps. We've still got 56 laps to go, Kev.
And we've seen a lot of anger from driver to driver throughout the weekend, and it continues. Will Power after the contact with Rinus VK moments ago.
I knew I would have a crash with VK. Dump the track.
Be that. Let's just keep focusing forward. We're going to have a good day here, man. We got 40 laps to figure this thing out.
And Power has refocused. He just said we should pit on the early side because there's likely to be a lot of cautions. Maybe they're still in it. We could have an unexpected result today.
Yeah, that early pit window would open maybe around lap 60, 61 as we get back to green flag.
All right, here we go. Back straight. Kyle Kirkwood in the AutoNation Honda leads Scott Dixon in the PNC Bank Honda. Then Marcus Ericsson and Romain Grosjean. They are all on the same strategy. They all pitted the last time. Here, popping out of the draft, Alexander Rossi into turn 3.
Now it may have stopped raining, but it's still slick. The track will have lost a bit of grip, will have cooled down, but Rossi making the outside work in turn 3 on Grosjean. Now Palou looking on the inside of Tristan Vautier.
There's the Gainbridge Honda of Colton Herta, the yellow, white, and black car on the inside of Palou, and then takes himself out of it. Oh my goodness, almost hit Vautier. That's frustration boiling over.
I don't think Colton Herta needed to do that. As fast as his race car was, he didn't have front tire temperature. He just paid a huge penalty. It goes from bad to worse.
I just need a pushback.
Not out of it.
So this was turn 4. Can't make it too wide through there. Then on the gas. Hits the brakes, just had no grip.
I mean, Vautier, what a brilliant job avoiding massive contact. I'm really impressed he saw that coming. This guy hasn't raced in IndyCar for 8 years.
Look at the speed difference.
Great job getting out of the way.
Wow.
And making sure he didn't just collect the back of Palou. Yeah, just misjudged it.
So the field is over in turn 3 right now. So if they can get Colton Herta started in the next 10 seconds, he can stay on the lead lap.
AMR safety team are there.
Quick check it. I don't think they see.
Doesn't look like it's going to happen. The field is just about to pass Colton. There they go.
Lap down.
So he joins McLaughlin in hoping to pull off a miracle strategy and somehow get back on the lead lap.
That's fine.
So in this race thus far, Christian Rasmussen out with an engine issue. Elio Castro Neves multiple laps down after contact. Kiffin Simpson was involved in that contact as well. He's multiple laps down. Colton Herta and Scott McLaughlin now 1 lap down. Oh, what just happened there?
They were towing the truck.
Oh.
The car back with the truck.
Well, the race car may have gone into the front of the AMR safety truck. Into the front of it, I should say.
Better hurry up before he goes 2 laps down.
All right, we'll squeeze in a quick break, come back and go racing. That iconic soundtrack and that music means only one thing. It's time for the Olympics. Friday, July 26th, the Olympic Games return live from Paris on NBC and on Peacock.
Getting excited, Div?
I am. We've got trials later this month. Track and field trials, of course, gymnastics happening now, swimming going on, and track and field from Eugene, Oregon.
Question, what if it's raining for the 100 meters? What do?
They still run.
Special spikes?
No, they still run. I've called many races in the rain. It's just not as nice for the runners. So, as we welcome you back to the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix, still under caution, we're right at the halfway mark, Marty.
Lead pit road trying to catch their collective breath after what has been an absolutely chaotic first 50 laps here in Detroit so far. First of all, for Joseph Newgarden, checked in with Chad Gordon, the outside front changer, and also Caitlin Brown, the inside front changer. They are fine after that incident on pit road. Really want to check on Chris Adams, who's the air jackman for Christian Lundgaard. He is fine. Said he had a little cut on his shin there, and you see the AMR safety team helping him out here. And he said, I'm not going to miss a stop. I'm all good. It's just a little boo-boo.
Good on you, Chris. And a lucky escape there for sure. That was frantic. By the way, both those stops are under review from race control. That was the stop of the 45 of Christian Lundgaard and the 2 of Joseph Newgarden. We'll know more shortly when race control and the stewards deal with that. Here is that Hy-Vee Honda of Christian Lundgaard, who was at the front, dove for the pits. How's his day going to play out? It has been a highly eventful opening half of this race.
Well, and you look at some of the drivers that have quietly worked their way into the top 6 here, like Dixon, Ericsson, Rossi, Grosjean, Armstrong, who you mentioned. Diff, everybody is straight up on the same strategy.
Yeah.
They'll need one more stop to the finish. It's about going fast, passing cars, straight up race, no fuel saved to really be worried about.
Hinch, what about this one? Both the Juncos Hollinger Chevrolets are in the top 10. Romain Grosjean and Augustin Canapino legitimately in the top 10 and fighting.
Look, Canapino's had speed all weekend long, just didn't quite get the lap in qualifying, but this car's had some serious pace. His teammate Grosjean now has used the chaos very well to his advantage, being inside the top 5 now. Still half the race to go, but this is a great place to be in.
Other thing you could do is you look to the left-hand side and look at tire compounds. If you're on the black tire right now and you still have a sticker set of greens, I'm not sure if anybody does on pit lane, maybe somebody like, well, I was going to say Kiffin Simpson, but he's well back. You could run long on this stint and then do a 15 to 20 lap dash on the soft compound at the end.
I think Will Power is about to go apoplectic. He has received another penalty and he's got to go to the back of the field for service in a closed pit.
He's already at the back of the field, so. But I just don't agree with the avoidable contact penalty earlier in the hairpin. I put that more on Rinus VK, who really didn't know that Power was there.
It's a racing incident.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think if you're going to make a call, it's no call.
So whereas Colton Herta is behind Tristan Vautier and a lap down. Dylan, what you got?
Hey, as the leader for Kyle Kirkwood with the different restart zones and restart lines, it gets chaotic. You got to pay attention. This was the conversation between he and Brian Herta.
They went green way too early. I was not ready.
They've been going early. They've been going in the short shoot there between 1 and 2.
Well, I went though.
And Kyle was talking about that the zone he thought was in a different spot maybe than even where they went green. So a lot to keep track of, and that's why you got somebody like Brian Herta on the stand.
And guys, if Kyle Kirkwood holds on for a win here, it'll be because of the conversation he had with Brian Herta in very unpredictable conditions. The decision to stay on slicks when the sprinkles came.
And it would be a third win on a third different street circuit for Kyle Kirkwood, but that's a long way away. There's still 48 laps to go. I would say keep your eye on Alexander Rossi in the Arrow McLaren Chevy. He was really racy right before that caution came out. He's the 4th car, the first papaya and white car you see as we get ready to go back racing. Green flag.
Green.
Here we go. Back straight. Let's go.
Nice jump from Kirkwood as the green flag waves. Dixon in line, Ericsson behind that, but you called it, Diff. Alex Rossi, that orange and white McLaren, looking to line up the 28.
Goes to the outside of Marcus Ericsson. It's the long way round. Ericsson drives him a little long. Oh, big contact. Lundgaard and Grosjean smash each other in turn 3.
Lundgaard's pinning Grosjean.
Okay, but I need to restart this week.
Oh, Lundgaard trying to reverse off the pin move.
Restart me, please.
Grosjean is dead stick. Marcus Armstrong there waving his hand around. He's needing a refire, but look, it was Lundgaard trying to do the same move he did on that first lap. Sneaking up the inside. Got it wrong, similar to Colton Herta.
Oh, that's shades of thermal. Earlier this year, remember when Grosjean got taken out and there was a collision with Dixon?
Except in that case, it was Grosjean that got spun out.
Yeah.
And flew through the field to take a couple cars out. Chaos continues here in Detroit.
Almost certainly a drive-through when we come back for the 45.
Good news is the NTT IndyCar Series continues next weekend on NBC and Peacock. We'll see you at the legendary Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. That's 3:30 next Sunday as we welcome you back to Motown, where it has been a bit of a crash fest. Watch this. Christian Lundgaard into Romain Grosjean, and the Root Honda there closest to us on camera. Marcus Armstrong had nowhere to go, and his teammate, Linus Lundqvist, got caught up at the back there. No contact, but just couldn't steer around it.
Caution light on as Colton Herta approaches the brake zone.
Oh.
And he slams Ferrucci, which is not the first time we've seen it this weekend. Lap one. A lot of contact. Will Power gets turned around. It leads to a stack up with 5-6 cars held up.
That kind of set the tone for the rest of the day. How about Santino Ferrucci into Elio Castro Neves, and then Kiffin Simpson, the rookie, had nowhere to go.
Christian Rasmussen was the first mechanical failure of the day. The engine letting go, we think, in the back of the 20, and then McLaughlin, as the rain started to fall, lost it into turn 1.
Yeah, raindrops led to chaos on pit lane. You see the fuelers struggling to get shell fuel flowing as everybody had to make critical decisions. Which compound do you want to be on?
Will Power and Rinus VeeKay come together multiple times. A brief shower caused chaos on pit road. And then on the restart, Colton Herta went for it, couldn't stop the Gainbridge Honda as quickly as he liked. And that put him a lap down. Kev.
So Scott Dixon was the first of those to get out that just came down. You cannot make it home from here without caution, but I've been told someone that's great at saving fuel might be able to do close to 40 laps on a tank. So it wouldn't take a lot of caution for maybe the best to ever do it to save fuel to get home without stopping again, Marty.
Same for the Indy 500 champ Joseph Newgarden coming down here with 44 laps to go. They too put on a scuff set of primary Firestone tires, and it's exactly right, Townsend. Kevin is, it's going to be a long save from here, but with all the cautions that tend to happen here at Detroit, why not make a gamble if you're already towards the back of the field?
I think it's a great call. We're not far from many casinos, and the odds of yellow, James, are high to quite high the way this has played out so far.
Yeah, if you could
it wouldn't take much for Newgarden Dixon to be able to just kind of hang out at the back, let people wreck in front of them, bring out the cautions, and just fancy feet their way to the front.
Yeah, if you could have yellow on a roulette table, I'd be all in on that one. Because it's just been 34 laps, 6 different caution periods so far, and with 43 laps to go, I don't see that changing.
Yeah, Dixon's 13th with that stop. Top 12 almost certainly all have to make another stop.
I don't know about you guys, I'd just like to get into some racing rhythm. Because when we did, it was good. But it's been a very stop-start affair today on the streets of Detroit.
34 laps of caution so far as they continue to circulate. Dylan.
Well, another potentially good run here at Detroit has come unraveled for Romain Grosjean. Here was some recent radio between he and the team.
What's the point of going again?
Points.
It's pointless.
We're just going to try for the points, Romain.
I don't care. The championship is gone for me, so.
So he was ready to be done, but has been fast this weekend, just unfortunately kind of the wrong place at the wrong time again.
And that was just, we were just singing the praises of Grosjean and Augustin Canapino, who is now in 6th place. That is a dejected Grosjean. He didn't do anything wrong. Just.
But you got to race.
You got to race.
You show up to race. You know, it's the team puts in a lot of effort. A lot of people put in time, energy, money to be out here.
And with the number of wrecks, who's to say that Grosjean doesn't finish, 20th here?
Yeah.
You only need a few cars to fall out and pick up a few points. And I mean, I'm surprised to hear Grosjean say the championship is done for me. I didn't consider him a championship favorite coming into this season. Maybe top 10. So there's still so much to play for.
You're probably halfway through this season. There's still a lot that can happen. That car and that team have shown some splashes of speed. And again, right now, we talked about Canapino, who's been strong all weekend. He's running up in top 6 right now, but we take a look at the point standings as they run. Palou would hang on to the lead. It would actually grow over Scott Dixon and Will Power.
And just think, before the Indianapolis 500, after qualifying was complete, Will Power was within 1 point of Alex Palou. After the 500, it went to 20. Colton Herta, who once led the championship, is provisionally in 7th.
Over a race wins over a pole fastest lap, laps led, race win, full score weekend. He's still.
And with Palou and Dixon, you've got one that stayed out and one in Scott Dixon that pitted here.
Yeah.
So if Dixon pulls off yet another Dixie upset, those points could be near level.
Are they going to be saying, how did he do it again? Let's go back racing. Cross your fingers, folks. We want to get through that first hairpin, which is turn 3, all cleanly. Alexander Rossi is lining up Marcus Ericsson again. Watch the cars second and third. Rossi likes that outside line, but Ericsson's going to make him wait for it. Inside goes Rosenqvist. There's another collision. Théo Pourchaire couldn't get that car pulled up fast enough. Another collision, but not a caution.
Oh, the Hucos Hollinger driver of Canapino shoves it right back in there.
Stingray Robb nearly collecting the back of Scott Dixon in the number 9. It's still chaos out here.
You can see that front wing damage too on the green and blue car at Graham Rahal from earlier in this race. That thing's starting to really flop around.
Just got word from race control. Joseph Newgarden, the Indy 500 champ, drive-through penalty for that pit box infraction. And that moment, that was pretty scary. So drive-through for Newgarden.
Yeah, no surprise there. I wouldn't be surprised also if race control was taking a look at Marcus Ericsson for moving in the brake zone there, closing the door on Alex Rossi. You see 2 Team Penske cars doing drive-through. Will Power on the lower right-hand side getting one as well.
They're handing out the penalties just like the cautions. The 45 Hy-V Honda, Christian Lundgaard, avoidable contact, stop and go penalty as Rossi defends from Palou. Pato O'Ward is in the mix. Rosenqvist, Fittipaldi, Pourchaire lost some positions. Canapino still in the top 10.
Even with that contact on the restart in turn 3, Canapino holding on to it. Théo Pourchaire, I'm surprised they're maybe not asking him to give that position back. Here it is, on board with the number 6, just in way too hot, gets into the back of one of the Meyer-Shank entries.
Hinch, how tough are these IndyCar Delar chassis? I mean, we've seen some monster bowling ball-like contacts here, and yet Pourchaire will probably have a penalty almost certainly, but the race car still seems all right. It's crazy.
Hey, these Delara IndyCars are robust. That's for sure. Look at this.
That contact ripped the wheel out of the hands of Agustin Canapino. A good job to get his hands back on it, not have the car stall in that long, tall first gear they've got. Spread out now, but look at the jump Kyle Kirkwood's had on the field. Palou now lining up Rossi.
Look at this, it's super close. Nothing's going to happen. Not quite close enough. Look further back to the Smokies radio and channel of Felix Rosenqvist, the Smoky Soul Town. Smokey Robinson, who served as the Grand Marshal here today for the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Smoky Soul Town all over this car, and it's a pretty soulful drive from the Swedish ace. Fro is not done with yet, running 6th, right behind his old teammate and his old team.
So lap 62, we are now entering the window for the top 12 runners from Kirkwood back to Ferrucci. Somebody's going to start to gamble here on this strategy and be the first to make their last pit stop.
What do you make of Dixon? You think he's going to try and stretch it? Roll that dice?
Roll
that dice?
He will go absolutely as long as he can, but he needs yellow to make it work. As good as Scott Dixon is at saving fuel, he's got to have some drama to slow things down so he can make it to the end.
Well, the casino district's not that far away. Hinch should be willing to take that bet that we'll see another caution before the end of this one, wouldn't you?
It'd be weird not to at this point.
Marty?
So just the teams are talking about exactly what Townsend mentioned a moment ago. When do you make that last stop? By the numbers, it would say lap 65 to 67. But is there a temptation, Townsend, to take that maybe a little bit further with all the caution that's gone on? But if another caution comes out, that really puts you in a bad spot if you have not made your stop yet.
Well, there we go. Stingray Robb into the tires. Caution.
Scott Dixon rubbing his hands together. Oh, the caution's come out, but the car's still running. He's getting it backed up.
Yeah, but there's no taking back a full course caution. Once it's out, the procedure starts. Stingray looks to have stalled it there on the reverse move. Let's see what happened.
On board with Scott McLaughlin in the Gallagher Chevy.
Scotty Mac's going to go for it.
It'll be, I don't know if that's going to be a penalty or not. He got pretty far up alongside, wouldn't you say?
He did. He came from a bit back, but who knows? It could be a trifecta for Team Penske with driver penalties.
Doesn't really matter for McLaughlin. He's a lap down anyways. Stingray Robb had a really nice run going today. He was up to 14th, I believe.
Did you say penalties? Let's roll out a couple more. Elio Castro Neves. He gets penalised for failure to follow the direction of IndyCar. Romain Grosjean's day was going so well, and now it just gets worse. He gets a drive-through for service, a full service in a closed pit box.
I feel like I'm back in high school, sitting across from the dean. So he reads off the violations.
I bet you
unapproved parking.
Bell,
late for class.
I bet you got that quite a bit. And guess what? It's not over yet. Theo Pourchaire was just ordered to give up 3 positions for avoidable contact.
I need a Post-it note. You guys keep reading these off. I'm losing out here.
Don't worry, there'll be one
Look at his
coming.
steering. His steering is well jacked up there. Right hand down, a good 20, 25 degrees.
You can't. I don't know. So you can't.
Yesterday in the IMSA race,
Yes.
Ben Barnicoat had about a 45-degree offset of his steering, and he made it work and finished second.
Yeah, he did.
In GTD Pro.
And that was for a good portion of that race as
Yeah.
well. It was a 100-minute sprint. Sports cars on the streets of Detroit in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. It was a great race. And congrats to, if you are taping this race and haven't watched it, close your ears for a second. Congrats to Ricky Taylor and Felipe Albuquerque in the WTR Andretti Acura. They hadn't won in more than 600 days. It was actually nearing on 2 years. It's over 660 days. And they finally got the win in the GTP category. So congrats to them, and the AO Porsche won in GTD Pro. It was a fun afternoon yesterday. They had about 5 cautions in that race. We're up to 7 now here in the Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. Race leader is Kyle Kirkwood.
Never been a more important time on pit lane than right now. The race comes to pit road, Dylan.
And the original plan for the 27 of Kirkwood was to end this race on the green tires, but discussion between Brian Herta and the driver Kyle Kirkwood have them going to scuffed primaries to end this one. Shell fuel and 4 tires, Marty.
Bottom left of your screen, Alexander Rossi comes in third. They actually have a set of sticker alternates in the pit stall, but they decide to go with scuffed primary tires in the race off a drag race between Alex Palou and Alexander Rossi. I believe Palou jumped Rossi here on pit road. Palou will go from 4th to 2nd of those who pitted.
And who has cycled to the top? The 6-time champion, the master of saving fuel, Scott Dixon. This was another Scott. McLaughlin puts Stingray Robb into the wall. Competing against America's top gymnasts, Simone Biles tries to add to her record. 8 all-round U.S. titles at the Xfinity U.S. Gymnastics Championships. You can see Simone and all the other athletes tonight, 7 Eastern on NBC and on Peacock. I should have said the remarkable Simone Biles. Just amazing. So too is this guy, Scott Dixon. He's up front in the PNC Bank Honda. He is the fuel save master, and earlier this year, he racked up his 57th career win. It was one of those moments where his peers just say, Dixon did it again. How did he do it? How did he do it again?
They can only laugh and shake their heads at the master making fuel where everybody thought it was impossible. Once again, over 20 seasons at the top. And guys, as they run right now, Dixon also leading the points. Kevin, masterclass at it in Detroit.
Long Beach surprised all of us. No one thought he could make it. Different scenario. I think Dixon will make it home. Listening to radio conversations, others do too. This might be number 58 and another strategy masterpiece for Scott Dixon, Mike Hull, and Chip Ganassi Racing.
And what's even better for him is directly behind him on the road is Colton Herta, who doesn't get his lap back by the fact that Scott didn't pit. Behind that, you got you got a teammate in Marcus Armstrong. So Dixon in a very good spot before the next actual on-track threat for position, which is, guys, it's Tristan Vautier.
Unbelievable. There's Marcus Armstrong, as Hinch mentioned, in that orange root car. Here's the 34-year-old French driver. Came from the open wheel ranks, did race IndyCar, but hasn't raced in so long. spent a lot of time in sports cars in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and here he is in this opportunity for Dale Coyne Racing, and he is really making the most of it. He was involved in that incident right there on that corner, turn 5, with Colton Herta, but has just been quietly chipping away. It could also be, we talk about the Ganassi just savvy play on strategy. Well, Dale Coyne's pretty good at some spectacular calls as well.
Tristan Vautier, his previous best finish came in Detroit on the old track at Belle Isle, but he had a 4th back in 2015, so he's used to the good vibes here.
All right, let's get ready to go again. We got 30 laps left. Dixon at the head of the field.
I don't think Dixon will defend Herta much if he makes his attempt to get on that lead lap.
Green to go. Colton Herta's 20th and 1 lap down. So look for that Gainbridge Honda to try and get by Scott Dixon as quickly as he can, if he can. Dixon's not hanging about though.
No, but Dixon's going to have to go into fuel save mode pretty soon here. Colton Herta, on the other hand, is going to try to make some moves, get that lap back, and hope for a yellow.
Oh, around goes Joseph Newgarden. Spins and blocks the track for Alex Palou.
Championship leader stopped on the racetrack. The caution is out once again. Your reigning champion, your reigning 500 winner, meet in turn 3 rather. And guys, this is the kind of mistake, and I don't want to say mistake, sorry, this is not a mistake on Alex Palou's fault. Joseph just spun in front of him, but this is the kind of incident we rarely see Palou in. We talk so much about the best, worst finish. He's had that for a few seasons while winning championships, but this could be the first race outside of the top 10 for Palou.
Watch again, what happened?
Finish was 5th coming into this as Newgarden simply gets into the back of Kyle Kirkwood and sort of spins himself out, and then Palou's got nowhere to go.
I want to see if he actually hit the 27 of Kirkwood or if it was just trying to avoid getting into him that actually caused the problem. Yeah, I almost feel like he was trying to just pinch it down. I'm not sure they actually made contact.
They did after he started spinning. Watch this.
Oh, yeah.
Little.
Just enough.
Yeah. Well, I think also Alexander Rossi, once Newgarden hit into the side there of Kirkwood, I think Rossi was picking up the right rear of Newgarden because it stepped out, sort of dragged him around.
Yeah, you saw he just clipped the attenuator of the 2-car. Watch here on board from Rossi.
Watch him grab the right rear. I think it was the attenuator.
The attenuator he clipped,
sort of sticks out.
You'll see it nice and clearly here.
So the Indy 500 winner, Joseph Newgarden, won't be able to do what one Pablo Montoya did 24 years ago, and that is win the 500 and the very next event. It's been
I mean, the
rugged day.
Hangover is fierce. It's a real thing for Indy 500 winners as you take a look again at Newgarden, and on the left-hand side, the last several years, Ericsson finished 7th at Belle Isle, Pagano 6th. Newgarden 10th last year on this track, on these streets, but it doesn't look like he'll better a top 10 finish today.
All 3 Penske drivers have had adversity of some kind.
A lot.
Scotty Mack with that unforced error, that crash, and then the collision with Stingray Rob. Here is the Gallagher Chevy. This is on the other side of pit lane, on this divided pit lane. That's on the driver's left as they come down the hill. Power has had multiple incidents and multiple penalties. Newgarden's had multiple incidents and multiple penalties.
And yet Power's sitting here running in 7th, guys. You saw that top up from McLaughlin. He's easily good to go on fuel now. Newgarden's going to come in, do the same thing.
Marty standing by. Take it away.
Yeah, after all that Joseph Newgarden has been through today, Tim Cedric making the call to bring him down here, down pit road. You see a new set of Firestones going on for Newgarden, and why not? They were the last car on the lead lap. This will put them in a much better fuel situation than a lot of them in front of them. So Joseph Newgarden coming here to pit road to make a pit stop with 29 to go, Kevin.
I'm watching Michael look at some numbers, crunching the numbers. Is he good now on fuel the rest of the way, Mike?
I think we're good. It just kind of depends on how the yellows fall here toward the end. We've had our fair share today. We thought at the beginning of the race it was going to be great, but we'll see what happens now.
All right, thank you. By the way, he just told Scott Dixon we're not quite there yet, so it's not full go for Scott Dixon. Still fuel safe, Dylan.
And Kyle Kirkwood's in a little bit better spot. He's talking with Kyle Kirkwood. Brian Herta is right now. You never maybe draw it up this way, but are you happy with where you're at right now, kind of given the fuel situation?
No, not really. I mean, you know, we're probably going to have 72 more yellows before we get this one done with. It turns it into a lottery, so no, I hate this.
All right, there's the thoughts of Brian Herta. You always want to be up front, but they're okay on fuel right now compared to Dixon, Marty.
So, how about Kyle Kirkwood's teammate Marcus Ericsson? He's poised for his best result in some 4 races, getting things back on track. However, T-Bell, we've still got 28 laps to go.
Well, here's what you might see is Dixon just drop the hammer and go for it. See if he can put 22 seconds on the field or 16 seconds so he can do a splash. I'm not convinced that it's easy peasy for Dixon to the finish. I think that's why Brian Herta is frustrated, because they're in a sweet position with Kirkwood, but with all the yellows, if they keep coming, Dixon's got no worries. If they don't, not sure Dixon's okay.
Yeah, we thought the same thing at Long Beach, though, and look what he was able to do. I'm not sure. I would assume this is actually an easier track.
We'll get an answer.
Save.
Dixon's got an onboard. We'll find out soon enough if he's saving fuel.
Let's go. And Colton Herta gets another chance to try and unlap himself. Very quickly on the inside was Kyle Kirkwood. See that pink and white and black car on the right? 5 cars back. He's already cleared Tristan Vautier. And Ericsson, his teammates behind him. And then Alexander Rossi.
Linus Lundqvist is the next. Oh!
Good work from Alex Rossi there to avoid Ericsson. He had to switch one side to the other.
Side by side now into 4, advantage to Ericsson. Let's see if Rossi wants to be brave down the hill into turn 5. We've seen it go wrong here before today. Kept in line, but still all over the back of the Andretti Global driver.
Hey guys, massive success. We've gone through turns 3 and 5 with no incidents.
Let's celebrate.
Let's go!
Hold your breath, guys, because here comes Kyle Kirkwood up the inside of the lap car of Linus Lundqvist, who's putting up a huge fight.
They bang wheels, but no worries. Through turn 9, a lap is completed under green flag conditions. This is good stuff. How about Marcus Armstrong in that orange route car? There he is at the back there climbing the hill. The young Kiwi is driving brilliantly and is on target for his career best result.
So now we wonder, does Dixon need to save? Let's listen. Not much.
It's a little, it's not much.
Again, I'm going to wonder, are they racing for a splash here? He's already put 3.5 seconds in 1 lap on Kirkwood.
Firestone telemetry telling us the key numbers. Look at this scrap going on here. Will Power, Pato O'Ward, Felix Rosenquist.
All these drivers have had some sort of issue today, no more so than Power in this train. But as you say it, T-Bell, Dixon saving some fuel. He's putting the gap to Kirkwood, but Kirkwood's been dealing with lap traffic. I'm not sure. I think this is just the pace Scott has.
Well, Armstrong's in the same situation. They both pitted on lap 56, so it feels to me like Scott Dixon is trying to stretch things out. I think he's if it stays green, I think he needs to stop.
This is Kirkwood working on Armstrong.
Well, if he can't do it, Armstrong definitely can't do it. No offense to Marcus, that's just a lot of experience in Scott Dixon at saving fuel, which means this man here, Kyle Kirkwood, is sitting pretty with 10 laps more fuel in the car. He's going to try it on the outside.
Maybe an over and under, maybe a switchback, can't quite do it. Thinks about it there, tucks back in behind the 23-year-old New Zealander.
Great defensive drive there from Marcus Armstrong into turn 3, a little bit wide in 4. Got a best career finish of 5th. That was just last month at the Indy GP.
The other thing we always talk about in the closing stint of an IndyCar race is push to pass remaining. You burn more fuel when you use it, but most of the field has about half of their allotted 150 seconds left. In many cases, 2/3. If you look at Armstrong and Kirkwood, they're in great shape.
Well, remember, we've run more laps under caution than we have under green, so they haven't had the opportunity to use their push to pass. But now they're going to start getting a little trigger happy with that button. You see Kirkwood gone to it already a few times on this lap. And no doubt he'll be doing it out at turn 2, trying to line up another pass attempt into 3.
Marcus Armstrong had a mechanical issue that took him out of the Indianapolis 500. He's racing for his first IndyCar podium here. But here comes Kirkwood. The Auto Nation Honda thinks about going to the inside. Armstrong blocks him into the hairpin. Can he do the switch back here successfully? Nope. Good driving, Armstrong. He's making it hard for Kirkwood.
Kirkwood tried to sell him the dummy by making it look like he was committing to the right and fading back left, but Armstrong not taking the bait, stayed down driver's left, defended nicely, kept it nice and tight through both apexes of turn 3 there. This is a very good defensive drive from Armstrong, looking in the mirrors as much as he is through the aero screen.
And guys, just like that, Dixon's got nearly a 4-second lead.
That gives him the opportunity to back off and save more fuel if he wants, now that he's got a bit of a buffer. And again, he still has the lap down car of Colton Herta in between himself and Armstrong.
Armstrong getting a really nice exit there off of turn 2. Gaps Kirkwood down the back straightaway. Let's take a look at a replay here. Pato O'Ward, Will Power.
These guys have been scrapping for multiple laps. The Chevy duo, one from Arrow McLaren, one from Team Penske.
And that's a really nice, clean textbook pass for Pato O'Ward. I know there's, maybe a touch winglet to winglet, but for a corner like turn 3 that has produced all kinds of massive hits, that's a slick move from the Mexican.
Something you guys spoke about at the top of the show when we were on the grid was the GM drivers performing in the shadows of GM's headquarters in the Rensen. At the moment, the Honda boys are spoiling the party. Dixon, Armstrong, Kirkwood, Ericsson, the top 4, all Honda power.
On board with 5-Hour Energy, on board with Pietro Fittipaldi, trying to salvage something from the day after some issues on track. Hanging on to 11th right now, just outside that top 10. Would love to bring home a strong result.
This goes on and on and on. That is Armstrong and Kirkwood. They keep trying to work each other over. 22 laps to go from here.
Kirkwood's going to know that Armstrong is saving fuel. Lap 56 was the last time Armstrong came to pit road. Lap 65 for Kyle Kirkwood. You see on your pylon there when everyone came to pit road last. Remember, a few of those, I'm looking at power, I'm looking at, well, Newgarden's not on there anymore, but some of those are for drive-through penalties, not actually for his service.
Just curious how much gas is Scott Dixon burning? Where does he sit? Then we go on board down the back straightaway and just listen. Watch that Firestone telemetry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, big coast face.
He's not
trying
pushing.
to gap and splash.
No, he did not want to splash and go. He is making this work.
Dixon in control. That sounds familiar. NBC Sports Championship season, moved by Pods, continues with the US Open. That's June 13th through 16th on NBC USA and on Peacock. Welcome back to Detroit. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe with you. Dylan Welsh, Kevin Lee, Marty Snyder. Enjoying this day. It's been highly eventful. So many cautions, 8 cautions in total, and the Indy 500 winner, the now 2-time Indy 500 winner. Last weekend was amazing. Today, Marty, it's all gone away from Joseph Newgarden.
And here's how it happened, Lee. A little contact with the wall right there for Joseph Newgarden. Got the toe link. They have had to bring him down pit road. This day has gone from bad to worse, Dylan, for Joseph Newgarden, who sits here on pit road with 18 to go, Dylan.
And Kyle Kirkwood runs third, still trying to get around Marcus Armstrong. He's trying to understand what strategy the 11 is on as well.
Does he get fuel trouble?
Yeah, Armstrong's being told to save fuel.
And so you see there, Kirkwood has lost ground to Armstrong. He really wanted to get by him to try to obviously put pressure on Dixon. Now he's just trying to catch back up to the 11, Kevin.
But Dylan, they're telling Marcus Armstrong he's hitting the number, and they've told him don't let Kirkwood force you out of that. Certainly he's serving as a buffer for his teammate Scott Dixon, who is very calm. Only a couple of words since the restart. The number has not changed, 580, and that's a code, and he's been told you can use map 4 if you want it. I don't think fuel is a huge concern for Dixon.
For Scott McLaughlin's first ever podium, he followed fellow New Zealander Scott Dixon home at Texas Motor Speedway. Marcus Armstrong is facing his first podium if he can hang in there for another 17 laps. And who would he follow home? Scott Dixon. Santino Ferrucci on Fittipaldi. Inside at the hairpin, and he gets the deal done.
Teo Pourchaire is going to try to capitalize on that as well. Looks to the inside of turn 4. Tough to go side by side. Made it work, though. Great driving from both drivers there.
Hard to imagine we'll get 17 laps of green with the way this pack is running together.
Hey,
Vautier still hanging tough.
Glass half full, Mr. Bell.
Hey, restarts are fun.
Hey, we've at least had a bit of running now for these drivers to get into a rhythm, getting a better feel for the racetrack. So I think we can pull it off. I think we can go.
I'm with you, Hinch, as we show you Teo Pourchaire and Santino Ferrucci.
Not sure that was an intentional move to the outside for Pourchaire, who's battling that bent race car.
I mean, that's what makes it even more impressive is the fact that Pourchaire, his geometric alignment is completely askew.
Ferrucci rounds up Tristan Vautier. That was for 11th.
Pourchaire's going around the outside to follow through. What's Fittipaldi going to do?
Fittipaldi looked like he was going to try to send it in there, and he did on Vautier.
Tell you what, even if the positions don't change, it's going to feel like a victory for Marcus Ericsson. In that Delaware Life Honda, he runs 4th at the moment behind his teammate. There he is, just coming out of that turn. Right here is the Indianapolis 500 winner of 2 years ago. It's been a pretty miserable time of late for Marcus Ericsson. He collided with his teammate Colton Herta at the
remaining, 15 to go.
Soncio Grand Prix. He crashed at Indy.
P4, Kirkwood's P3.
He said, where are we? He wanted to know exactly where we were. He crashed at Indy. You remember he had to go to a backup car. He barely made the field. As a first and second place finisher at the Indy 500, it was almost inconceivable. But that's what happened to Marcus Ericsson. And then he was out of the Indy 500 on the very first lap in the first turn. And when I spoke to him this weekend, he said, I just need to reset. I got to start all over again. I got to start afresh. And I see this is the beginning of the rest of my season. And so far, Dylan, so good for Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah, and the kind of struggles continue this weekend. He hit the wall in first practice. It delayed their on-track time in second practice. And I'll echo kind of those sentiments from Marcus. Spoke with Eric Bretzman, his strategist, earlier today. He said, we really need a good run. There's no quit in these guys, and we're going to keep trying. But it sure would be nice to just be happy leaving the racetrack again. They've had a really good day, executed perfectly, and inside the top 5 right now.
Augustine Canapino is headed for his first top 10 for Juncos Hollinger Racing. He's behind Felix Rosenquist, ahead of the charging Santino Ferrucci. Here they are, two very strong drivers, determined drivers. Ferrucci is in go mode and attack mode. What can the Argentinian do? He's defending all the way up to the concrete wall to make Ferrucci go the long way around.
Ferrucci will try the cross up here at the exit, but it will not happen this lap for the 14, but it is nose on gearbox as they wind down into the canyon.
Got a couple of bests potentially happening, like you said, Div. A couple of best season results, Bebby, for Kirkwood and Ericsson, and best career results in Armstrong and Canapino. A few drivers really just hanging on here for a good one. What do we have here, though?
Oh.
That is Canapino going a little bit wide. Out of turn 5, I believe, collecting some of the barrier.
May have been on the previous lap that allowed Ferrucci to get a little bit closer, and Teo Pourchaire as well. All right, counting them down, 12.5 laps to go. Scott Dixon in control to the tune of about 3 seconds.
Look at that steering. I mean, that's something you see on an oval.
It is so difficult as a driver. It throws off your equilibrium. It throws off all your references, everything about positioning when you have the steering wheel so out of whack like that. So a great job from the rookie.
Little touch, little contact there between Ferrucci and Canapino. Now they're starting to line up. Fittipaldi comes into the mix in the 5-hour Energy Honda for RLL.
Got a great shot into that brake zone of turn 8.
Bottom of your screen, Joseph Newgarden entering the pits.
All these cars in view right now pitted on lap 65, so they're all in a very similar fuel situation.
Ericsson just got by Kyle Kirkwood for 1 foot on the podium. So the Andretti Global teammates have been fighting, but Kirkwood's going backwards. Let's get some more updates from the pits. We kick it off with Marty.
Lee, let's check in on the back half of the top 10. Alexander Rossi in 5th here in Detroit. Where did he finish last year in Detroit? 5th. And as disappointed as he was with the Indianapolis 500, he is back-to-back top 5s if he can finish right here for Rossi and Arrow McLaren. His teammate Pato O'Ward right behind him, who said before the race to me, I just want to survive this race. He started 12th. O'Ward up in the 6th position right now. The fastest car on the racetrack for the last several laps has been Christian Lundgaard. A moment ago he passed Will Power. Now he's tracking down Pato O'Ward in the 45, Kevin.
What a day it's been for Will Power. He is where he started in 8th, but anything but a conventional day. The list of penalties we don't have time for. Emergency service didn't pack up, penalized 3 spots. The drive-through for avoidable contact and even more. But here he is on alternates trying to hang on to score some points, because remember, he is still 3rd in the championship. And also a great recovery for Felix Rosenqvist. A puncture at the start of this race. He pitted. He was last. He's had good pace. He's on pace to get a top 10 again here today. The only one he didn't was when they lost an engine at the Indianapolis 500 last week, Dylan.
A great rebound as well for Santino Ferrucci on a weekend filled with a lot of angst on and off the racetrack. He has kept a cool head, rebounded from a first turn incident where he stopped, a contact with Helio Castroneves that resulted in a drive-through penalty, has marched all the way back to where he started in 10th and is on the charge.
A little further up the order in the top 10, we go back to the Delaware Live Honda of Marcus Ericsson. This is how he got by his teammate Kyle Kirkwood. Kyle couldn't fight it, didn't fight it.
That was unusual.
Yeah, it's almost like Kyle kind of saw him coming and wasn't sure he was going to make the corner and decided to just open him up and not risk the contact. But guys, Ericsson's been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, been in the top 3 quickest cars for the last handful of laps. You can see the gap that he has pulled already.
Tell you what, he's not that far behind Marcus Armstrong. He's not going to hang on just for 3rd. He may get 2nd. He might want the win, because Dixon's only 3.1 seconds up the road.
Well, and who's just in front of Scott Dixon? A driver with nothing to lose but a teammate to Marcus Ericsson, Colton Herta. Colton's back on the lead lap, but has the potential to slow Dixon down and bring him into the clutches of Ericsson with 9 to go.
And guys, let's look at simple math. Last lap for Marcus Ericsson, a 103.5. Last lap for Scott Dixon, a 104.3, 0.8 of a second to the good for this guy here with 9 laps to go. Plenty of time to catch and get around both of the Ganassi cars potentially. This thing ain't over, and look, Marcus Ericsson's got a habit of winning chaotic street races. He's done it a couple times. There's been no red flags, but a couple of cautions.
Take a look at the last 3 laps there between Dixon and Ericsson. Your point exactly, Hinch. Almost a second faster on lap 91. NTT data bringing us that great comparison. And Ericsson is head down and on a charge, and so much is in Colton Herta's control right now. They should and probably are giving him this race update, Dylan.
And something else to consider that Eric Bretzman just told Marcus Ericsson, both Herta and Dixon need to hit a fuel number. So Herta is just trying to make it to the end of this race, but he's got to save fuel. That's obviously backing Dixon up, obviously backing Armstrong up as well.
Last win was the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. Not this year, last year for Marcus Ericsson. It's been a long wait. Don't count him out of the win here today in the Andretti Global Honda. He's got Armstrong on his list. Not close enough just yet at turn 3, but he now puts the pressure cooker on Armstrong.
And the problem for Armstrong is in fuel save mode, you have to introduce that large coast phase at the end of the back straightaway. That's where you have the best chance to save gas. That's right where Armstrong is able to lunge, charge on the brakes. and really mix it up.
It also stops you really from using push to pass in defense. So you can see Ericsson with only 58 seconds to Armstrong's 90, but Armstrong has to be so careful and so controlled and not using that button, or else it makes his fuel save number even bigger, Kev.
And Scott Dixon's concern right now is not fuel, it's a fellow Honda competitor right in front of him. Let's listen.
Herta's 2 laps short on fuel. The message has been passed to Honda. Get on the way, man. Copy that. We've told him, Scott.
No requirement whatsoever. Colton Herta is on the lead lap.
Also, the 2 cars behind him are also Hondas. So I don't think you're going to get any play from the manufacturer on this one. There's no benefit, as we see in the background. Armstrong under pressure from Ericsson, not quite close enough this time.
I think that maybe one more lap for Marcus. It's very risky at other corners. Have we seen passes at other corners? Of course we have. But that turn 3 hairpin is the optimum spot.
But with 56 seconds left and 7 laps to go, just 6.5 actually, Marcus Ericsson can use 7-8 seconds every lap on the back straightaway now of push to pass. It's time to start leaning into the button, use that extra boost, and really put the pressure on Armstrong.
Super close now. Only 1.6 seconds between Dixon there in the orange and blue PNC Bank Honda and this guy, Marcus Ericsson, right there. First to third are blanketed by 1.5 seconds.
Great shot here. What kind of exit does Ericsson get? Not a great one. Armstrong doing a good job getting the power down, but now you see that push to pass. See the 6 green lights.
They're limiting the car ahead to 5 seconds of overtake per lap because of fuel.
Great information. So helpful for Ericsson to know exactly where Armstrong stands.
Don't make a risky move. So close here.
You got to take some risk, though, Jeff. It's not just going to happen for him.
An IndyCar win is in sight. It's that orange and blue car just ahead. He can do it.
Armstrong up ahead, has never stood on an IndyCar podium. He's got an Indy 500 winner, both ahead and behind. And the frustration for Dixon grows. You heard him on the radio saying, get Herta out of the way. But he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to move anywhere.
Big oversteer coming off at the last corner there for Armstrong. That allows Ericsson to get closer. He's going to look into turn 1, not quite close enough. He's won on the streets of Detroit before. That was back in Belle Isle, his first win in his IndyCar career. Bit between his teeth for the Swedish driver, but not a great run off of 2.
He's got to get on the button, though. He's got enough push to pass to use. 38 seconds.
Just asked how many laps to go. He's chewed up 20 seconds over the last couple of laps. Dixon on Herta. He's trying to get by the Gamebridge Honda. He's frustrated. He wants to clear him because he knows the others are coming.
Colton doing the right thing there, getting out of the throttle, letting Dixon, as the race leader, take it.
It's not a pass for position, but that pass might seal the win for Scott Dixon.
Definitely going to help having that buffer there now in between himself and the pursuing race cars.
How quickly can Armstrong get by? What's going to happen here? Was that the move for the win for Scott Dixon? And Herta's in the pits. He clears out.
Decides to probably do a drive through the pits here just to eliminate himself from the battle. Very sporting move from the 26 team.
This is the move for Scott Dixon on Colton Herta. Out of turn 3.
And you see Herta there doing the right thing, backing out. Dixon got there.
All right, here we go. Look at this. Is Ericsson closer? Can he do anything about Marcus Armstrong? Armstrong will defend on the inside. Marcus goes wide.
We've seen some great defensive driving from Armstrong already in turn 3. He knows how to keep Andretti Global cars behind him. He did it to Cal Kirkwood for a number of laps. He's only got to hang on 3 more times through that 3rd turn to bring home that 2nd place.
And the best IndyCar finish of his career by far.
Oh, yeah. Well, if he gets there, he's certainly earned it, hasn't he? This way, being pressured by Marcus Ericsson all the way to the flag as the laps are running out. This time by for Scott Dixon. They'll let him know.
3 laps to go. 3 laps to go here.
Exactly that.
You can hear it was a struggle for Ericsson to get on power coming off of turn 9. Those Firestones really starting to struggle late in this race.
By the way, we've been consumed by this. In the background, Christian Lundgaard has had a phenomenal drive to claw his way back to 5th. Are
He
you
was
kidding?
stuck on top of another race car at about half distance. It pinned down Romain Grosjean, was able to reverse off, and now he's battling forward. That's Alexander Rossi in front of him.
Kirkwood's the next one on his list.
Excuse me.
This is Power.
Lundgaard in front of Rossi. This is the red car of Will Power.
So folks, let's just set something up for you at the head of this field. Scott Dixon is ahead of these two here, Marcus Armstrong and Marcus Ericsson. There's Dixon, and he'll now be told there are just 2 laps to go. In the history of IndyCar racing, AJ Foyt has the most wins and the most championships. Well, if Dixon can hang on for 2 more laps, he's going to be within 9 wins of tying AJ Foyt. However, in the bigger picture, Scott Dixon takes the championship lead, and he is trying to get a 7th title. Who has 7 titles?
Oh, here comes the
AJ
lunge.
Foyt. Here's Ericsson on the inside for 2nd. The 2 Marcuses, but it's Ericsson in front.
Really nice pass from Marcus Ericsson from way back. Same move he put on his teammate Kyle Kirkwood, but I'll go back to the pass that Scott Dixon made on Colton Herta to get ahead, to get away from Ericsson. It might just be enough, but Ericsson now with clean air. It'll be 1 lap to go at the line, and Ericsson will be pushing with everything he's got.
Under 2 miles, I don't think there's time to close down a 2-second gap. Great drive from Marcus Ericsson to get himself into this position, but Dixon has taken the white flag.
1.6 miles to go. Ericsson's got, what, 11 seconds of push to pass left. Dixon, the fuel-saving master, the race-winning master, is so close to becoming this season's first multi-time winner. He won on the famed streets of Long Beach. And here on the streets of Detroit, Scott Dixon. Just that calm voice of Mike Hull on the radio, the managing director of Chip Ganassi Racing, the way that they can just tiptoe through the chaos and stick to their plan.
And the confidence in the numbers, knowing the fuel that they have, knowing the fuel their driver is able to achieve while maintaining pace, just like Long Beach. He appears to have done it again.
And the 43-year-old New Zealander in a couple of weeks will be racing at the biggest sports car race in the world at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. But right here in the Motor City, Scott Dixon and Chip Ganassi Racing win. They spoil the GM party.
Remember where victory lane is.
Remember where victory lane is. Scott Dixon knows that more than anybody in the modern era on how to get to victory lane. Dixon does it again and takes the lead of this championship.
Another
fantastic job, everyone. Thank you so much. That was cool.
Another
that was cool.
Dixie masterclass on fuel saving. You called it. Crunched the numbers, knew what their driver was capable of. This team is so good at executing in these difficult situations.
Checkered flag moment brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. And that is checkered flag number 58 for Scott Dixon in his IndyCar career. 9 away from the all-time high of AJ Foyt. What a day in Detroit. The Motor City has turned it on. Yeah, there were lots of cautions, but some good racing too. Dixon wins Detroit. Time now for the Pennzoil moment of the race. And who else can we go to but Scott Dixon, PNC Bank Honda. He was one of several cars that decided not to go for wet weather tires when the shower came. And this decisive move on Colton Herta to give himself a little bit more breathing room because Marcus Ericsson was coming. And Dixon wins Detroit. That's the story, Marty Snyder.
Scott Dixon climbs out. We're kind of running out of superlatives for Dixon with another masterful save. He survived the cautions and the chaos today here in Detroit. Mike Hull, who called him to that win. Hey, Scott, I mean, did this one feel more improbable than Long Beach to you?
You never know. You know, I think I made the comment on the radio. I'm like, at about lap 50, I said, I think we can make it on, you know, no more stops from this point if we do one now. Obviously, we didn't go that risky, but the team called it perfectly. We were on the right strategy. Huge congrats to everybody at PNC Bank number 9. Honda did a superb job as always. A lot of fun driving my Honda out there. And we won, man. How cool is that?
Yeah, well, you said this one was cool. What made this one so special?
It's just always the variables, you know, trying to stay out of trouble, trying to keep the car, you know, on track. We had rain, you know, it was all over the spot, all over the shop out there, and you know, you're just never really sure how the transitions are going to fall, or even the strategy. So stoked for everybody on the team. That was cool.
The numbers keep racking up. You are now 9 wins from AJ Foyt, and also now the championship leader. Does the attention immediately turn to the pursuit of that 7th title?
For sure. I think it always is. Until you're out of it, you're going to keep chasing it. So again, you know, it's a team effort. Nobody, no one single person does it by themselves. Got to say hi to Emma and the kids back in England at the moment too, and everybody New Zealand. So thank you, man. Thank you.
I'm happy to report the Honda made it here to the front of the grid all the way on fuel. He had enough to get this far, and a little bit of a burnout on pit road as well, Lee.
Yeah, but his teammate Marcus Armstrong ran out before getting back to the pits, so that's just how tight it was. Dixon, double win on the season. Ericsson, best result of the season. Marcus Armstrong, best result of his IndyCar career.
And then you look at some of the names here in the top 10, like Ferrucci or Will Power or Rosenquist. You think of the drama that those drivers experienced today all the way through the field. In some cases, absolute miracle that they made it to the end.
Yeah, we saw Teo Porcher there taking home a top 10. You look down further, Jack Harvey, last driver on the lead lap, and this just shows you the kind of chaos that we had. How many drivers down there, a lap down or out of this race. And a race like this has big implications, Diff, on the title.
Yeah, you heard Marty mention to Scott Dixon, you now lead this championship, and not by a small margin either. 18 points over his teammate, and Will Power is hanging in there. Boy, he has been determined this year.
Yeah, so Dixon leading by 18, but if you're Chip Ganassi Racing, you got the top 2 in points. Don't hit your star driver too hard. That last shot almost knocked him out.
Look after the star, that's for sure. Dylan?
Marcus Ericsson, a great drive today, comes home in the 2nd spot. You said on the radio when you crossed the line, we're back. How big of a day was this for this entire team?
It was very big. I think, you know, after the month of May we had, it was really, really tough, you know, tough mentally. And, you know, I'm new in this team. I want to show myself as a top driver, as they hired me as. So, yeah, it was really important. We said going into this weekend, we wanted to have a reset. We wanted to have a reset of the season, you know, 2024 2.0. And I think we were strong all weekend. The 28 car and the whole Andretti team, you know, gave us really, really good cars. So really thankful for that. The Delaware Life car was really strong out there today. You know, we had so much pace. One more lap and we might have been able to get that win, but yeah, great day, great to have 4 Hondas in the top 4. You know, amazing job by Honda to bounce back after a month of May, so yeah, really happy with that.
This is the start of their season. Watch out for Marcus Ericsson in the 28, Kevin.
And Kyle Kirkwood had his best finish of the season in 4th. You avoided chaos, so that's something right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say you're disappointed with the 4th, right? We led a lot of laps there and had a really good shot at winning this race. Obviously, Dixon got a little lucky with the cautions that came out. But, I mean, I was happy with the 27 AutoNation car. It was strong all day. It gave us a shot at winning this thing, and we capitalized. We did good in a very hectic race.
Well done.
Good stuff for Kyle Kirkwood. He's 6th in the championship, by the way. So Scott Dixon in this PNC Bank Honda, fellas, he won 3 times on the old Belle Isle circuit. This is his first on the new and the revised downtown street circuit. He just adds another circuit to this illustrious career that he's won at.
And it's another weekend where we just never talked about Dixon's pace during practice and qualifying. There was no wow factor, but just like Long Beach, when it really matters, he does it. They figure out a way to win. They take advantage of his strengths. And after all these years, 2 wins, not even at halfway, as Marcus Armstrong and his mentor, driver coach Dario Franchitti celebrate a best career finish.
How about that? And this guy, he's got a good sense of humor, but he's very serious about his career. and he soaks up what he learns from this guy, fellow Kiwi Scott Dixon, and Hinch, he soaks up what he learns from Alex Palou as well.
Yeah, what a great situation for a young driver to be in, to have drivers like Palou and Dixon to learn from, and then a mentor and coach in Dario Franchitti. It's an ideal situation for someone trying to build themselves a strong career here in IndyCar.
Wow, what a story we've got after this Chevrolet Detroit Grand Prix. It was an eventful day. Thanks so much for joining us. We still race next weekend. That's at Road America. You'll see it on NBC at 3:30. A week from today on the 4-mile monster that is Road America. Coming up next, it's the final round of the U.S. Women's Open. As we say congrats to Scott Dixon. Dixon in Detroit. He's a winner again.